Welcome to Monk's Temple. What if I told you that the hardest moments of your life, the ones that shattered your heart, shook your world, and made you question everything, were actually secret invitations? What if every storm you survived wasn't just bad luck, but a doorway into something deeper? You're about to discover something ancient. Something monks have whispered to each other on mountaintops and in silent forests for over 2,500 years. This isn't just advice. These are the survival codes of the human spirit, passed down from the Buddha himself, a man who faced fear, loss, hunger, and death, and still walked away smiling. This guide isn't here to hand you empty comfort. It's here to rebuild you from the inside out. So whether you're drowning in heartbreak, stuck in uncertainty, or just tired of pretending you're okay when you're not, these Buddhist lessons are about to show you how to turn pain into power, and fear into wisdom. And the best part? You don't need to be a monk, a saint, or even a spiritual person to use this. You just need to be human. A human who's ready to stop fighting life, and start dancing with it instead. So take a deep breath. What you're about to learn could change how you survive your storms, and maybe even how you see yourself forever. Let's begin. There comes a moment in every storm, when you realize that holding on hurts more than letting go. That's where we begin. After all, what breaks us most in life is not the pain itself, but the way we cling to how life should be, even when life has already decided to be something else. This is where the heart of Buddhist wisdom opens its hands to us, offering a gift that feels strange at first. Almost like an empty box. That gift is emptiness. Or shunyata. A teaching so misunderstood that most people fear it before they even try to understand it. But the truth is, emptiness is not the absence of life. It's the key to surviving it. In Buddhism, emptiness doesn't mean nothingness. It doesn't mean your life doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you should stop caring or give up hope. Emptiness is something much more tender, and much more powerful. It's the understanding that everything, including your pain, your identity, your story, and even this moment, is not as solid as it seems. When life punches you in the chest, your mind scrambles to hold on to something. A reason. A blame. A sense of control. But what if the first layer of suffering comes from that very grasping? What if the pain of losing a job, a loved one, your health, or your sense of self, is only made heavier by the belief that you ever truly owned those things in the first place? Emptiness is not a cold void. It's a gentle unraveling of illusion. Especially the illusion that anything in this life can stay exactly the same, forever. This isn't bad news. In fact, it's the doorway to freedom. Because the moment you see that everything is always shifting, that no experience, no label, no feeling is fixed, you stop fighting the waves. You stop clinging to who you were before the storm hit, and something extraordinary happens. You float. When the Buddha spoke of emptiness, he didn't say it to scare us. He said it to liberate us. He wanted us to see that what hurts most is not life itself, but the stories we tell ourselves about how life must be. Emptiness is the courage to see life directly, without the filter of old expectations. Take grief. When someone you love is gone, the mind clings to every memory, every what if, every regret. But beneath all that pain, there's a quieter truth. The person you lost was never a fixed thing to begin with. They were a flowing river of moments. Laughter one day, tears the next, silence the day after. They were a mosaic of change, just like you are. This doesn't make the love less real. It makes it more real. Because when you stop clinging to the idea that people and things are supposed to stay frozen, you can finally see the beauty of their impermanence. They mattered because they were fleeting. Their love touched you precisely because it couldn't last forever. This is the first lesson of shunyata. Everything is empty of fixed identity. Everything is free to change. And while this might feel terrifying at first, it's actually the softest landing place you'll ever find. It means your failures don't define you, because they, too, are empty, constantly changing. It means your heartbreak isn't the end of your story, because it's empty. It will evolve. It means even your own identity, the person you think you are, is not set in stone. You are a flowing process, not a product. And this changes how you suffer. Because when pain comes, you don't lock it in place by saying, "This is who I am now, broken, unworthy, lost." You see the pain as a visitor, not a roommate. You see your sadness as a cloud, not the sky itself. You become curious about it, rather than consumed by it. Emptiness also reveals something radical about control. Most of our suffering comes from this exhausting tug-of-war with life. Trying to force things to happen the way we want. Trying to stop change from sweeping in. But when you understand that life itself is empty of any fixed script, you stop trying to write one. You start dancing instead. You lose the need to constantly label experiences as good or bad. You stop demanding that every moment fit your idea of happiness. And in doing so, you discover something shocking. Most of your suffering wasn't caused by life itself, but by the story you were telling about it. Let's make this even clearer. Imagine holding a rope tied to something heavy. Every time life shifts, the rope pulls, and your hands bleed from holding on so tightly. Emptiness is the wisdom that lets you drop the rope. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you finally understand that holding on so tightly is the reason you're bleeding. When you drop the rope, something stunning happens. You realize you can still love without clinging. You can still care deeply without controlling. You can still move forward without needing the path to be straight. This is what Buddhists call the middle way. The path that walks between attachment and aversion. And here's where emptiness becomes pure strength. Because once you no longer need life to obey your expectations, you become unbreakable. It doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means pain no longer owns you. You feel it fully, but it doesn't define you. This is the heart of resilience in Buddhist teaching. It's not about making your skin thicker or your heart harder. It's about becoming so open, so fluid, that no experience can trap you. Like water flowing around rocks, you keep moving. Not because you're numb, but because you're free. And this freedom changes your relationships, too. When you understand emptiness, you stop treating people as fixed characters in your personal story. You stop saying, they must always love me this way, or, they can never change. Instead, you meet them fresh in each moment, without the weight of old assumptions. This makes love lighter and freer. It makes forgiveness easier. It makes conflict less personal, because you see that everyone, even the people who hurt you, is just as empty and ever-changing as you are. When life gets hard, when you lose the job, the person, the dream, emptiness gives you a secret power. You stop believing that this moment is the whole story. You know this moment is empty, too. Already changing. Already in motion. You don't need to panic or collapse. You just need to stay present and open. This is the kind of resilience that lasts. Not the brittle strength of forced positivity, but the flowing strength of someone who knows, I can lose everything and still be okay, because I never truly owned anything to begin with. Emptiness isn't cold philosophy. It's the ultimate tenderness. It's the whisper that says, let go, my love. You were never meant to carry all this, and from that letting go, something surprising blooms. Courage. The courage to live fully. To love without guarantees. To try even though you might fail. Because once you realize that life owes you nothing, you stop waiting for it to be fair. You start living anyway. In the end, emptiness doesn't make life meaningless. It makes life precious. It's the reminder that every moment, every connection, every breath is a gift, not because it lasts, but because it doesn't. And with this understanding, you walk into your hardest days with open hands and a fearless heart. You don't need to grip life so tightly anymore. You can hold it gently, knowing it's already changing. And so are you. This is the strength of emptiness. The strength of someone who has nothing left to cling to, and is finally, beautifully, free. The Potter of Fez. In the winding, sun-baked alleys of Fez, Morocco, there lived an old potter named Amir. His hands, cracked like the desert floor, shaped clay into vessels of stunning beauty. For decades, his workshop was a place of pilgrimage for those seeking not just pottery, but wisdom. One year, a devastating flood swept through the city's ancient quarters. When the waters receded, Amir's workshop was a ruin. Every finished piece, every work in progress, every tool handed down from his grandfather, was smashed into shards, buried in mud. His students found him sitting quietly in the wreckage. They expected tears, rage, despair. Instead, Amir simply began to sift through the mud. "Master," one student cried, "everything is lost." Amir held up a single, muddy shard. "This clay," he said softly, "was once dug from the earth behind the old olive grove. It remembered the sun. I shaped it, believing I was making it into something permanent, a vase to hold flowers for generations." The flood reminded the clay of its true nature. It is not a vase. It is earth, water, and memory. And now, he gestured to the piles of broken pieces around him. It is a new beginning. Amir didn't rebuild the old workshop. He took the finest, sharpest shards and, with painstaking care, began a new art, zellige. He set the colored fragments into intricate mosaics on the walls of the rebuilt madrasa. The broken pieces, once separate vessels, now flowed together into breathtaking geometric patterns, telling a story of collapse and rebirth. He told his students, "We suffer not when things break, but when we believe they were never meant to be anything but what we first shaped them to be." Emptiness is the space between the shard and the mosaic. It is the possibility that what appears ruined is simply returning to its source, ready to become something even the potter could not have imagined. The wisdom of karma. If emptiness teaches that nothing has a fixed, unchanging identity, karma teaches why certain storms seem to find us no matter how fast we run. To understand one without the other is like holding a map but not knowing which direction you're facing. Emptiness shows the map is fluid, but karma shows the terrain you are walking through right now was shaped long before this moment began. Karma is one of the most misunderstood words in the modern world. Some see it as punishment, like the universe is some angry school teacher waiting to slap your wrist for every mistake. Others think of it like a scoreboard, tallying points for good and bad deeds. Both are wrong. Karma is not a cosmic justice system. It's much simpler, much deeper, and far more personal. Karma means action. And more importantly, it means the ripples that flow from every action you've ever set into motion. Every thought you hold, every word you speak, every action you take, they all leave traces. These traces, like seeds scattered into the soil of your life, wait for the right conditions to bloom. Some bloom quickly. You yell at someone in anger, and they yell back immediately. Others sink deep into the earth of your consciousness, resting for years or even lifetimes, until the right rain and sunlight awaken them. What you face today, the heartbreak, the loss, the struggle, may have roots not only in your childhood, but in lives you don't even remember. This isn't mystical punishment. It's simple cause and effect. But the beauty, and the terror, is that most of these causes were planted unconsciously. Every time you reacted without awareness, every time you grasped tightly out of fear, every time you turned away from compassion, you planted a seed. And because karma doesn't operate on human timelines, those seeds could bloom long after you've forgotten where they came from. This is why life sometimes feels so unfair. We forget the actions, but we live the effects. And because human memory is short, the mind creates a new story, *, this is happening to me, not because of me. * we feel like victims of fate, not participants in it. But karma is not fate. Fate is something that happens to you. Karma is something that flows from you, whether you see it or not. When hardship arrives, Buddhist wisdom does not ask you to blame yourself or to collapse into guilt. Guilt is just another form of self-attachment. Instead, you are invited to wake up. To pause and ask, * what seeds am I watering right now? Even if I can't see where this storm began, what am I feeding with my current thoughts, words, and actions? Am I adding fear to fear? Am I meeting anger with more anger? Or am I choosing to plant a different seed, even in this bitter soil? Karma doesn't mean every painful thing in your life is your fault. It means every painful thing is an opportunity to respond differently than you did before. This is how karmic cycles break. Not through punishment, but through conscious response. Every time you choose awareness over reaction, compassion over blame, presence over escape, you interrupt a cycle that might have been spinning for lifetimes. Difficult times are where karma ripens the fastest. This is because suffering forces you to face what you usually avoid. When life is easy, it's simple to cover your blind spots with comfort, distraction, and busyness. But suffering tears off the mask. It exposes where you are still clinging, where you still believe life owes you something, where you're still fighting reality. This exposure hurts. But it's also the only place real growth happens. When you begin to see hardship as karmic weather, not a punishment, but a natural unfolding of past conditions, everything changes. A storm doesn't mean the sky hates you. It just means certain winds were already moving before you woke up this morning. You don't have to take it personally. But you do have to decide, how will I walk through this rain? Will I curse the sky, or will I learn how to dance in the downpour? Understanding karma also dissolves the illusion of being a lone victim in a cruel world. Your karma is not separate from others. Every action ripples outward, touching lives you may never meet again. The harsh words you spoke to a stranger years ago might have fueled the anger they carried home to their child. The kindness you offered to someone who felt invisible might have saved them from stepping off a ledge. Every action plants seeds not only in your own life, but in the collective field we all walk through together. This means that even your personal suffering is rarely personal. It's connected to countless invisible causes, cultural, historical, ancestral, all merging into the present moment. This doesn't remove your responsibility, but it adds perspective. You are not a single player in a private tragedy. You are part of a vast, shared web of cause and effect. This is why wisdom in difficult times is not found in asking, "Why me?" but rather in asking, "What now?" The past has already ripened into this moment. You cannot unplant old seeds. But you can choose how you respond. Every response becomes the seed of future experience. Meet this moment with bitterness, and you water bitterness. Meet it with presence, and you water freedom. Karma also teaches patience. Some suffering is old, ancient, even, arising from causes you will never fully understand. This is why not every storm will disappear just because you meditate or pray or practice kindness for a week. Some seeds take years to bloom. Spiritual practice is not a quick fix. It's a way of changing what you plant from now on. This is why Buddhist resilience is so different from blind optimism. It doesn't promise that if you just think positive, everything will turn out fine. It teaches instead that every action matters, even when you can't see the results right away. Every time you pause instead of reacting, every time you choose compassion instead of anger, every time you breathe into fear instead of running from it, you are planting new seeds. even if the ground seems barren. This is also why blaming yourself for your suffering is pointless. Self-blame is just another form of ego attachment, the belief that everything is about you. But karma is vast, impersonal, and complex. The same storm might be ripening seeds planted by your ancestors, your culture, and countless others whose actions shape the world you live in. Your responsibility is not to figure out every cause, but to respond wisely to whatever arises now. When you really grasp karma, you stop demanding life to be fair in the way the ego wants. You see that fairness is not the point. Growth is. Every storm is both a mirror and a teacher. It shows you what's still unresolved in you, and it offers you the tools to respond differently. It holds up a mirror to your past reactions and asks, will you react the same way again, or will you create a new ending to this story? Difficult times become training grounds. Every insult, every setback, every heartbreak becomes a place to practice. You stop asking life to be easy. And instead, you become skilled at meeting life as it is. This is the resilience that karma builds. Not the false resilience of gritting your teeth, but the true resilience of seeing every moment as a seed of the future. Even in your darkest moments, you are still planting something. Even when you feel powerless, you are shaping what comes next. This is the secret strength of karma. It reminds you that you are never truly powerless. You can't change the storm that's already falling. But you can choose how you walk through it. And that choice matters. This understanding doesn't make pain disappear, but it makes pain meaningful. You stop seeing suffering as punishment and start seeing it as a teacher. You realize that every tear, every moment of doubt, every trembling breath in the night is part of your training. Training to respond with wisdom. Training to break cycles that might have trapped you for lifetimes. Training to leave the path clearer for those who walk after you. This is how karma becomes not just a law, but a path to freedom. Not a prison, but a doorway. And every time you walk through that doorway with awareness, you rewrite your future. The Lighthouse Keeper of Hokkaido. On the wild, wind-lashed coast of Hokkaido, Japan, an old lighthouse keeper named Kenji lived in almost complete solitude. His only company was the relentless sea and the rotating beam of light that had guided sailors for a century. Kenji was a man of few words and precise routines, shaped by a deep, private grief. Decades prior, a typhoon had claimed the fishing boat of his only brother, a boat Kenji had urged him not to take out that day. One fierce winter, a complex fault in the ancient lighthouse mechanism caused the great light to fail for the first time in living memory. That very night, a modern cargo ship, reliant on GPS that had also failed in the storm, drifted dangerously close to the razor-sharp rocks. There was no time to fix the light. In a moment of pure instinct, Kenji did something irrational. He dragged every flammable piece of driftwood and old furniture from the keeper's cottage into a huge pile on the highest cliff. He doused it in kerosene, the supply for the lighthouse's emergency generator, and set it ablaze. The bonfire was a wild, chaotic beacon, nothing like the clean, mechanical sweep of his light. It was a desperate, consuming fire that burned his own shelter and stores to ashes. But it was seen. The ship corrected course. The next morning, shivering in the ruins of his home, Kenji was not met with praise, but with bureaucratic reprimand for the destruction of property. He accepted it silently. A young sailor from the saved ship visited him weeks later. "You burned everything for us," the sailor said, his voice thick. Kenji looked past him to the sea. "For a long time," he said, "I believed my one mistake, my words to my brother, planted a seed of guilt that grew into this lonely life. I tended that guilt like a duty. Last night, I saw that seed for what it was. Not a truth, but a story I kept watering. The real seed was planted long before my brother sailed. It was the seed of thinking I could control the sea with my worry. Last night, I stopped watering that old seed. I planted a new one instead. It burned hot and fast. It left me with nothing. But it was the right action for that moment. That is all karma asks." The sailor didn't fully understand, but he felt the weight of the lesson. Years later, that sailor would become a captain who instituted a radical policy of present-moment checks for his crew, breaking a cycle of rushed, anxious decisions that had plagued his company for generations. Kenji's fire had lit more than one path to shore. The Bodhisattva path. If understanding karma opens your eyes to why life's storms arrive, the Bodhisattva path teaches you something even more radical. That these storms are not obstacles at all. They are your sacred ground. They are not just something to survive, they are something to serve. Every difficulty becomes a doorway, not just for your own growth, but for the healing of the entire world. This flips the entire logic of suffering upside down. Most people spend their lives trying to escape hardship as quickly as possible. The Bodhisattva does not run from suffering. The Bodhisattva steps toward it. Not because pain is holy or suffering itself is a prize, but because suffering is where compassion is born. Without touching suffering directly, the heart stays small, the self stays fragile, and the world remains divided between those who suffer and those who turn away. The Bodhisattva path is the ancient vow to never turn away. Not from your own pain, and not from the pain of anyone else. This path is not about fixing everything, because you can't. It's about staying present with what hurts without running, without numbing, without closing your heart. This presence alone begins to dissolve the boundary between self and other, between my suffering and your suffering, until you see clearly, there is only suffering. And we're all responsible for each other's healing. This is not martyrdom. It's not about sacrificing yourself until you collapse. It's about understanding that your suffering and the suffering of the world are woven from the same thread. You are not separate from the collective pain. And so, every time you meet your own suffering with compassion, you are also healing the collective wound. Every time you refuse to turn away from your own heartbreak, you develop the strength to hold others through theirs. This changes everything. Because it means even your hardest days are part of something greater than you. Your grief becomes training to sit beside someone else's grief. Your fear becomes the path to understanding the fear in others. Your confusion teaches you patience for the confusion of the world. Every personal storm becomes a gift you can eventually offer back. Not in words or advice, but in the simple, powerful presence of someone who knows what it feels like to hurt, and who doesn't flinch in the face of suffering. The Bodhisattva path reveals a hidden truth. Adversity is not the opposite of spiritual practice. It is the heart of spiritual practice. When life is easy, compassion is easy. When you have what you want, kindness flows effortlessly. But true compassion, the kind that can heal the world, is forged in the fire of not getting what you want. It is tested when life breaks apart, and you are left with nothing but your raw humanity. If compassion can bloom there, in the soil of your own heartbreak, it can bloom anywhere. This is why the Bodhisattva sees every difficulty as sacred. Not because pain itself is sacred, but because pain is where your heart breaks open. And an open heart is the only thing strong enough to hold this world as it is. The Bodhisattva does not pray for an easy life. The Bodhisattva prays for the courage to stay open, no matter what life brings. This does not mean passively accepting injustice or abuse. Compassion is not weakness. In fact, the more you practice compassion through hardship, the clearer your boundaries become. When you meet your own suffering with love, you begin to understand that no one deserves to suffer unnecessarily, including yourself. Compassion gives you the strength to say no to injustice, to cruelty, to the voice inside you that says you are not worthy of love. Real compassion stands up, not with anger, but with clarity. This path also dissolves the question most people ask during hard times. Why me? The Bodhisattva asks a different question. How can this be used for the benefit of all beings? This doesn't mean bypassing your pain or pretending to be wise when you feel broken. It means knowing that even in your brokenness, you have something to offer. Sometimes what you offer is your vulnerability. Sometimes it's your honesty. Sometimes it's simply the willingness to keep your heart open when it would be easier to shut down. This offering is not always seen. The world might not notice your quiet acts of courage. But the Bodhisattva does not act for applause. The Bodhisattva acts because there is no separation between self and world. To heal yourself is to heal the world. To heal the world is to heal yourself. This is not poetry. It is the truth you feel directly when you sit fully with your own pain, and realize it is not just personal. It is ancient. It belongs to everyone. This changes how you view difficult people, too. The Bodhisattva sees even the people who hurt you as part of your training. Not because they are right or good, but because they show you where your compassion still has limits. Every time someone triggers your anger, your resentment, your judgment, they reveal where your heart still closes. They become your teacher, not in the sense that you have to tolerate abuse, but in the sense that they show you your edge. The place where your love stops. That's the place to work. This does not mean staying in harmful situations. Sometimes compassion means walking away. Sometimes it means fierce truth-telling. But it does not excuse harm, it explains it. And that understanding frees you from the prison of bitterness. The Bodhisattva path also transforms how you see failure. In this culture, failure is treated like poison, something to avoid at all costs. But in Buddhism, failure is sacred ground. Every time you fall apart, every time you lose your way, every time you break your own vows, you are given the chance to learn something real. Not spiritual perfectionism, but real, raw, humble truth about who you are and what you need to heal. The Bodhisattva does not fear failure, because failure is part of the training. This changes how you pray, too. Most prayers are requests for life to change, for pain to end, for something to arrive or disappear. The Bodhisattva prays for courage to face life exactly as it is. Not because they are resigned, but because they know that every moment, even the terrible ones, are part of the awakening path. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is outside the path. Even hopelessness becomes part of the path. Sometimes, the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself is to sit quietly with your hopelessness. Not to fix it, but to listen to it. To ask, what does this hopelessness want me to see? Maybe it wants you to see that you've been carrying the weight of the world alone. Maybe it wants you to see that you've been running from your own needs. Maybe it wants you to remember that you are not the savior of the world, you are just one human heart, doing your best. This humility is powerful. It strips away the illusion that you have to be perfect, wise, or enlightened to be of service. You don't. The Bodhisattva serves from exactly where they are. Messy. Human. Incomplete. This is what makes their compassion real. It's not theoretical. It's born from blood and bone, from broken hearts and trembling hands. And that's why it touches others, because it's honest. This honesty is what makes the Bodhisattva trustworthy. When people see that you're not pretending to have it all together, when they see you standing in the fire without flinching or faking, they trust you. Your presence becomes medicine. Not because you have all the answers, but because you have the courage to stay. And in the end, that's all anyone really needs. Someone who is willing to stay. Stay present with pain. Stay present with joy. Stay present with the messy, complicated truth of being human. This is the deepest gift of the Bodhisattva path. It teaches you how to stay awake in the middle of the storm. And not just for yourself, but for everyone who walks beside you. Because the world does not need more perfect people. It needs more present people. People who are willing to love in the middle of fear. People who are willing to forgive while they are still grieving. People who are willing to show up even when they have nothing to offer but their broken open heart. That is the heart of the Bodhisattva. That is how adversity becomes a path. That is how you transform pain into love, not just for yourself, but for all beings everywhere. The Four Noble Truths. Even the Bodhisattva, standing firm in the heart of life's storms, needs a compass. Compassion alone does not erase confusion. Courage alone does not provide direction. And in the chaos of personal and collective crisis, when everything feels too fast, too raw, and too uncertain, clarity becomes priceless. This is where the Buddha's very first teaching arrives. Not as abstract philosophy, but as a survival map for the human spirit. The Four Noble Truths are often presented as ancient doctrine, but they were never meant to sit on shelves or inside temple walls. They were designed for times exactly like these. Times when the ground disappears beneath your feet and the future looks impossible to predict. They are not just truths to believe, they are steps to follow when you don't know where to step next. They do not remove suffering. They teach you how to walk through it without losing yourself. The first truth lands like cold water on the skin. It does not soften the message or hide reality behind comforting lies. The first truth says, there is suffering. Not as a punishment, not because you failed at life, not because something is wrong with you. Suffering exists because to be human is to live in a world that constantly changes. A world where what you love can disappear, and what you fear can come closer than you ever wanted. This truth is not cruelty. It is compassion at its sharpest point. When you see suffering as part of life's natural fabric, you stop treating it like a mistake that needs to be erased. You stop asking life to be something it can never be, perfectly safe, perfectly fair, perfectly predictable. This doesn't mean giving up hope. It means learning to replace false hope with real resilience. False hope says, if you do everything right, nothing bad will happen. Real resilience says, even if everything falls apart, you will still have the capacity to respond with wisdom and courage. The first noble truth removes the illusion that life owes you comfort. But in doing so, it offers a deeper comfort. The comfort of truth itself. The comfort of no longer needing to resist reality. The second truth doesn't just explain suffering, it points directly at why suffering deepens into misery. Suffering happens because life changes. But misery happens because the mind clings. It clings to comfort. It clings to identity. It clings to people staying exactly as they were. It clings to the belief that life should follow your plans. And when life refuses to obey, the mind contracts, tightens, lashes out, or shuts down. The second truth shines a light on this habit. It asks you to see, not with shame, but with clear eyes, how your own craving multiplies your pain. Loss hurts. But clinging to what's already gone turns pain into torment. Uncertainty is uncomfortable, but craving absolute control turns discomfort into paralysis. This truth is sharp, but it is not judgmental. It does not say you are bad for craving. It says, look how craving controls you. And then ask, is this the only way? This leads directly to the third truth, which some people misunderstand as a promise to end all suffering forever. But the third truth is more subtle than that. It does not say life will become painless. It says freedom from unnecessary suffering is possible. This freedom does not come from controlling life, it comes from releasing the craving that controls you. This is not about becoming indifferent. It is about loving life without strangling it. It means learning how to hold everything, people, dreams, even your own identity, with open hands. When suffering comes, you do not collapse into self-pity. When joy comes, you do not demand it stay forever. You meet each moment as it is, with nothing left to grip. This freedom feels like spaciousness. Even in crisis, there is space between pain and reaction. Even in loss, there is space between sadness and despair. This space is not emptiness in the painful sense. It is emptiness as possibility. The possibility to respond wisely instead of reacting blindly. And this space grows every time you practice seeing your craving, naming it, and letting it soften instead of tighten. The fourth truth turns all of this insight into action. It does not leave you with abstract wisdom. It lays down the path you walk, step by step, to make these truths real in your daily life. This path, the Noble Eightfold Path, is not a list of rules. It is a training ground for your whole being. It trains your view, your thoughts, your words, your actions, your work, your effort, your focus, and your heart itself. Right view is the wisdom to see that everything is interconnected and impermanent. In crisis, right view reminds you that no matter how isolated you feel, your pain is not personal. It arises from countless conditions, many outside your control. This releases the toxic belief that suffering means you failed. Right view replaces self-blame with humility. The humility to know you are part of something larger than your personal story. Right intention is the willingness to meet each moment, even the hard ones, with compassion instead of self-protection. In crisis, this means refusing to let fear harden your heart. It means even when you are afraid, you choose to cause no harm, neither to yourself nor to others. This intention becomes your inner compass when everything outside feels chaotic. Right speech means in crisis, you choose your words carefully, because words can either stabilize the storm or make it worse. You don't suppress your truth, but you speak it with care, knowing that every word plants a seed. Right action means even in pain, you act with integrity. You don't use suffering as an excuse to abandon your values. Even when no one is watching, you choose kindness over cruelty, honesty over lies. Right livelihood means you examine not only what you do for work, but how you contribute to the world, especially in crisis. Are you adding to the collective fear, or helping calm it? Are you exploiting others' fear, or offering something real? Right effort means you don't numb out or give up, but you also don't force yourself to solve everything overnight. You stay with what's real, step by step, without drowning in overwhelm. Right mindfulness means you do not abandon your body or your breath in crisis. It's easy to live entirely in the mind, spinning stories, predicting disasters. Right mindfulness brings you back to now, to this breath, this sensation, this moment. This grounds you when everything feels unstable. Right concentration means even in the storm, you cultivate inner stillness. Not by suppressing thoughts, but by focusing your attention on what is steady, your breath, your body, your core values. This stillness is not escape. It is the ground beneath your feet, the clarity that lets you see through panic and make wise choices. Together, these 8 practices are not a checklist. They are a way of walking. A way of living every day, especially when life hurts. You don't wait until crisis is over to practice them. You practice them in the middle of the storm. Even when you feel weak. Even when your heart shakes. This path does not promise you won't suffer. It promises you will suffer wisely. It promises that suffering will not be wasted. It will become your teacher, your training ground, your offering back to the world. Every step you walk with awareness becomes a blessing to those who come after you, because your courage to meet your suffering with wisdom makes it easier for others to do the same. The Four Noble Truths are not abstract. They are medicine for real life. They are the map you follow when the road disappears. They are the hand you hold in the dark. They are the reminder that even now, even here, you're still on the path. You have not failed. You have not fallen off. As long as you keep walking, you're practicing. And every step, no matter how painful, is part of your awakening. The Weaver of Oaxaca. In a small village in the highlands of Oaxaca, Mexico, an indigenous Zapotec weaver named Elena was known for her tapestries that told the story of her people. Her patterns were a language of mountains, rivers, and ancestral memory. When a wildfire, driven by unprecedented drought, swept through the region, it destroyed not only forests but the rare, native cotton plants that were the source of her unique threads. The community was devastated, their cultural archive in thread was gone. Elena sat in the ashes of her field. Her hands, which knew the rhythm of the loom, were empty. The temptation was to see this as an ending, a cruel severing from the past. But as she sifted the ash, she found something unexpected, charred, resilient seeds of the cotton plant, and among them, new, tough desert grasses that had sprung up in the fire's wake. She had a radical idea. Instead of trying to recreate what was lost, she would let the fire co-create. She gathered the scorched seeds and the rough new grasses. The resulting thread was not soft and uniform. It was uneven, speckled with dark flecks of ash, strong and textured. On her loom, the new thread created a different story. The traditional patterns were still there, the mountain, the river, but now they were woven with streaks of charcoal gray and the earthy brown of the resilient grass. The tapestry showed the mountain after the fire, the river running through ash, and new green shoots emerging. It was not a record of loss, but a document of transformation. When elders from her community saw it, some were silent. Then one of the oldest women reached out and touched the rough, ashy thread in the tapestry. "You have woven the truth," she said. "Before, we wove the story of what was. Now, you weave the story of what is. The fire is not a break in the thread. It is a new color in the pattern." Elena's work became a new tradition, teaching that right livelihood isn't about preserving the past unchanged, but about weaving the present, with all its burns and new growth, into an honest and beautiful whole. Meditative endurance, samadhi. It is one thing to know the path exists, and quite another to stay on it when the weight of life feels too heavy to bear. Knowing the Four Noble Truths gives you a map, but maps do not walk for you. They do not carry your exhaustion. They do not quiet the noise inside your mind when fear, grief, and frustration start screaming all at once. This is where the practice of samadhi enters. Not as philosophy, but as the inner power that helps you hold steady when everything else pulls you apart. When most people hear the word meditation, they think of relaxation. They think of stress relief or a peaceful state of mind. But this is not the kind of meditation that builds endurance. Samadhi is something far deeper, far sharper. It is the ability to bring the mind to such complete stillness, such unshakable focus, that the usual storms of thought and emotion lose their power to pull you away. It is not about escape. It is about becoming unmovable right in the middle of life's chaos. This kind of concentration does not happen by accident. It is built. The way strength is built. Through deliberate practice. Through friction. Through sitting with exactly what you would rather avoid. Every time your mind wanders and you gently bring it back, you are training the muscle of endurance. Every time you stay present with a painful feeling instead of distracting yourself, you are learning how to bear the unbearable. This is the heart of meditative endurance, the willingness to stay with reality as it is, without needing to escape into fantasy, denial, or reaction. This skill is rare because it requires facing the part of you that always wants to run. It asks you to sit directly in the fire, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you want to know the truth beneath it. And the truth, once you are still enough to see it, is that pain itself does not break you. It is the inner resistance to pain that shatters the heart. Samadhi teaches you how to stop resisting. Not by collapsing into helplessness, but by learning to hold your attention steady even when the mind screams for relief. When you sit in this depth of stillness, something astonishing happens. You discover that the mind is bigger than the pain it holds. The storm no longer fills the whole sky. It becomes a passing cloud, and beneath it, the ground of your awareness remains unshaken. This unshaken awareness is not cold detachment. It is warm presence. The kind of presence that can hold grief without drowning, that can hold fear without panicking, that can hold anger without exploding. It is not suppression. It is containment, the ability to hold energy without needing to discharge it right away. This containment gives you time to choose. To choose how you will respond. To choose what kind of person you will become under pressure. Without this kind of inner stillness, suffering triggers endless chain reactions. Pain turns into panic. Panic turns into blame. Blame turns into destructive action. And suddenly, you are not only suffering, you are creating new suffering for yourself and others. Samadhi breaks this chain. It creates a pause, a space between what happens and how you respond. In that space lives your freedom. This is why Samadhi is called a power, not just a practice. It gives you control over your own attention. And attention is the doorway to everything else. Without control over attention, you cannot choose what to focus on. You cannot see reality clearly. You are dragged by every impulse, every craving, every fear. With strong samadhi, you gain the strength to decide where your mind will rest, even in the middle of pain, even when the world is falling apart. This is not magic. It is training. Just as a runner trains to build endurance mile after mile, you train your mind by sitting down day after day and facing yourself with honesty. Sometimes your mind will fight. Sometimes it will beg to escape into distraction. Sometimes it will create stories so convincing you forget they are stories. The training is to see through all of it. To stay with the simple reality of breath, body, and awareness itself. Over time, this steadiness becomes part of you. It follows you off the cushion and into your life. In arguments, you notice the impulse to speak in anger, but you do not act on it. In fear, you notice the tightening in your chest, but you do not run. In loss, you notice the ache of grief, but you allow it to pass through without collapsing. This is the gift of meditative endurance, the ability to feel everything without being possessed by any of it. This steadiness also reshapes your sense of time. When suffering arrives, the mind panics not just because the pain is intense, but because it projects the pain into the future. It believes this moment will last forever. Samadhi interrupts that belief. It brings you back to just this breath, just this moment, and reminds you, no feeling is final. This direct knowing dissolves despair, because despair thrives on the belief that suffering is endless. The deeper your concentration grows, the more you discover a different kind of strength. A strength that does not come from willpower or control, but from allowing everything to rise and fall without clinging to any of it. This is not passivity. It is radical presence. The ability to stay awake through discomfort, through boredom, through fear, because you trust reality more than you trust your own thoughts about reality. This level of trust does not come from belief. It comes from direct experience. Every time you sit still through a difficult feeling and watch it pass without needing to fix or fight it, you gain unshakable confidence in your own resilience. You learn, not intellectually but in your bones, that you can survive what you thought would break you. This knowledge cannot be given to you by a teacher or a book. It comes from the practice itself. Over time, Samadhi rewires your relationship to suffering. Suffering no longer feels like an emergency that demands immediate escape. It becomes a visitor you know how to sit with. Not because you enjoy pain, but because you have learned the deeper truth, pain is not the enemy. Unconscious reaction is the enemy, when you hold stillness in the face of suffering, you break the habit of reaction. You interrupt the ancient cycle of panic and craving that keeps suffering alive. This is why deep concentration practice is considered essential in Buddhist training. Without it, wisdom remains theoretical. You might understand impermanence intellectually, but without concentration, the first wave of suffering knocks you over anyway. You might know attachment causes suffering, but without concentration, craving still controls your choices. Samadhi bridges the gap between understanding and real freedom. This is why it is called endurance. It is the strength to stay awake through every season of life, not just the pleasant ones. It is the strength to sit with your loneliness instead of running to distraction. It is the strength to breathe through fear instead of reacting in anger. It is the strength to watch your own mind without believing everything it says. This strength does not make you cold. In fact, it makes you more tender. Because the more you see your own suffering clearly, the more you understand the suffering of others. The same stillness that holds your pain also holds compassion. Not because you force yourself to feel kind, but because stillness itself reveals the shared human heart. Without strong samadhi, compassion burns out. You care for others until your own pain overwhelms you. With samadhi, compassion grows deeper, because your own pain no longer frightens you. You have seen its nature. You know it rises and falls. You know it cannot destroy the mind that sees it clearly. This fearlessness allows you to sit with the suffering of the world without drowning in it. In the end, meditative endurance is not about becoming a perfect meditator. It is about becoming a human being who can stay present no matter what comes. It is about learning to trust your own awareness more than your fears. It is about discovering that inside the heart of every storm, there is a stillness that was never harmed. And that stillness is who you really are. This is not a belief to cling to. It is a truth to discover for yourself. Breath by breath. As you learn the art of staying. And when you can stay, truly stay, in your own suffering without running, you gain the strength to hold others, too. This is the strength the world needs most. The Heart Sutra and trust in groundlessness. The kind of stillness born from deep concentration does not erase uncertainty. It does something even more important. It teaches you how to stand calmly inside uncertainty without needing quick answers or forced control. This is a rare strength, because human minds are wired to crave certainty like air. But life does not offer certainty, no matter how much effort you throw at it. This craving for solid ground is at the root of so much suffering. Not because certainty exists somewhere and you just haven't found it yet, but because certainty itself is a misunderstanding of life's nature. And this is where the Heart Sutra enters like a bright flare cutting through the night sky. The Heart Sutra is not long. In fact, its power comes from how much it strips away. It does not hand you comforting beliefs. It does not offer promises that everything will work out the way you want. Instead, it drops a truth so radical, so direct, that it cracks open the very foundation of fear itself. The Heart Sutra declares, there is no solid ground to stand on, and that is your freedom. This teaching can feel terrifying if you hear it with the ordinary mind, the part of you that wants answers, guarantees, control. But the Heart Sutra is not speaking to that part of you. It is speaking to the part of you that is already free. The part that knows how to float in open space without panic. The part that does not need a map, because it knows how to trust the sky itself. The famous mantra at the heart of the sutra, * gate gate paragate prasagate bodhisvaha *, is not just ancient poetry. It is a direct instruction on how to move through uncertainty. Not by fighting it, but by surrendering to its flow. The words themselves are often translated simply as, gone, gone, gone beyond, utterly gone beyond, awakening, so be it, but these words only come alive when you understand what they are asking you to release. Each gate is a call to let go of the illusion of fixed ground. The first gate invites you to release your grip on external certainty. The belief that safety will come from controlling the world around you. The second gate asks you to release your grip on internal certainty, the belief that safety comes from controlling your own thoughts and feelings. Gone beyond is the moment when you step completely outside the illusion that life can ever be made stable. It is not resignation. It is relief. The relief of no longer trying to force water into the shape of stone. Utterly gone beyond is the point where you float freely, no longer demanding that life become predictable before you can relax. This is the wisdom of the Heart Sutra, *, nothing is fixed, and that is not a flaw in the design. It is the very nature of freedom itself, *, when you stop demanding guarantees, you discover something surprising. What you were really seeking was not certainty, it was the peace that comes from trusting life directly, without conditions. This trust is not blind optimism. It is the deep confidence that even in chaos, even in loss, even in groundlessness itself, awareness can remain steady. You do not need certainty to walk forward. You do not need answers to take the next breath. All you need is the willingness to take each step without needing to see the entire path. The mantra becomes a lifeline when fear rises, because it speaks directly to the part of you that already knows how to let go. Every repetition is a reminder. You do not need to hold on to anything, not even your own idea of who you are, to survive this moment. Gone, gone, gone beyond, utterly gone beyond. Each phrase dissolves another layer of clinging. First, the clinging to control. Then, the clinging to identity. Then, the clinging to the belief that suffering can only end if life becomes perfect. Finally, the last clinging, the clinging to the illusion that there is any separate you that needs protecting at all. This is not intellectual. It is felt directly. When you repeat the mantra not as a wish, but as a letting go in real time, you drop the need to know how this crisis will end. You drop the need to solve every problem immediately. You drop the need to defend your pride, your role, your story. And as each layer drops, what remains is pure presence. Awake. Raw. Fully alive. And strangely, fearless. This fearless presence is not bravado. It is the fearlessness that comes from knowing you can lose everything and still be whole. Because what you truly are was never your job, your health, your reputation, or your plans. What you truly are is the awareness that has watched every version of your life rise and fall. That awareness cannot be broken, because it was never a thing in the first place. It is the open space in which life happens. And that space has never been harmed. The Heart Sutra calls this realization the perfection of wisdom. But it does not mean intellectual understanding. It means seeing directly that there is nothing to hold on to, and therefore, nothing to fear. Every loss teaches this, if you let it. Every broken plan reveals this, if you stop resisting. Every uncertain future points back to this present breath, where life actually happens. This is why the Heart Sutra does not comfort you with promises of a happy ending. It gives you something much better, the direct taste of freedom within the storm itself. The mantra does not change your circumstances. It changes how you meet them, until you see that fear itself was always a misunderstanding of what you are. The practice is simple, but not easy. When fear rises, you silently repeat the mantra. Not as a magic spell to erase fear, but as a reminder to let go into the fear. To walk forward without needing guarantees. This trains the heart to become comfortable in open space. And over time, the open space feels more trustworthy than the illusion of control ever did. This shifts your whole orientation to life. Instead of using spiritual practice to get what you want, you use it to learn how to want nothing from life except reality itself. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop bargaining with life. You no longer say, "I'll be okay only if things go my way." You say, "I'll be okay because I no longer need life to go my way." That is ultimate freedom. And it is available not after the storm, but right in the middle of it. The mantra is a doorway. And every time you walk through it, you remember, this moment, even this one, is workable, not because it's comfortable, but because you are no longer demanding comfort before you allow yourself to trust life. Over time, this practice changes your relationship with uncertainty itself. You stop seeing it as a threat. You start seeing it as the creative space where all new things are born. Certainty is a closed room, no air, no possibility, no mystery. Uncertainty is a wide open field. And though walking through it takes courage, it also offers freedom that certainty could never give. This is the gift of the Heart Sutra. It does not erase the unknown. It teaches you how to stand in the unknown with an open heart. It shows you that every time you let go, what you find is not emptiness in the painful sense. It is emptiness as infinite space. Emptiness as the freedom to meet life exactly as it comes. This is the power of a mantra that millions have whispered through wars, losses, and personal collapse. They did not whisper it to escape life. They whispered it to remember how to stay awake inside life, without needing to know how the story ends. They whispered it to remind themselves that there is no solid ground, and that is what makes life sacred. That same mantra is in your hands now. The storm you are facing is your personal doorway into the wisdom countless ancestors walked before you. Their courage lives in these words. Their steadiness is your inheritance. Every breath you take while silently repeating the mantra adds your own courage to the stream. This is how lineage works, not through blood, but through shared courage. And every time you meet uncertainty with presence, you add your voice to the ancient chorus that has always said, "Gone, gone, gone beyond, and still, somehow, perfectly whole." The necessity of spiritual friendship, Sangha. Even with the strongest mantra in your heart, even with the deepest meditative stillness anchoring your breath, there will be moments when your own strength feels thin. It happens to everyone. Some storms are too heavy to hold alone. No matter how much wisdom you carry, no matter how sincere your practice, there will come a time when your own mind turns against you and the weight of your own story becomes too much to bear. This is not failure. It is proof that you are human. The Buddha understood this so deeply that he refused to place individual practice at the center of the path. He placed community there. The spiritual community, **Sangha**, was not an optional extra for those who needed company. It was understood as essential medicine. Because no one walks the path of awakening alone. Isolation is not strength. It is vulnerability disguised as pride. And pride cracks easily under pressure. A Dharma friend is not just a buddy who shares your beliefs. A Dharma friend is someone who is committed to walking beside you when you forget how to walk yourself. They do not carry you. They remind you how to stand again. They do not solve your suffering for you. They reflect your own inner wisdom back to you when you cannot see it. This reflection is precious, because the human mind is a hall of mirrors, and in crisis, it is nearly impossible to see yourself clearly without help. But not every friend can do this. Ordinary friendship is often built on comfort, shared opinions, or the desire to feel good. Dharma friendship is built on ethical commitment. The agreement that both of you are here to help each other wake up, not to entertain each other or soothe each other's egos. This makes Dharma friendship fierce love. The kind of love that holds up a mirror when you want to hide. The kind of love that stays when you want to run. This kind of friendship requires mutual commitment to truth. Not truth as personal opinion, but truth as the willingness to see things as they are, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it hurts. When you're lost in self-pity, a Dharma friend does not offer shallow comfort. They offer clarity. They remind you of the impermanence you forgot. They name the craving that is driving your suffering. They help you see that even in pain, you still have choice. The choice to meet this moment with awareness or with reaction. This honesty can feel sharp if you are used to friendships built on mutual avoidance. Many friendships crumble under the pressure of crisis because they were built on shared illusions, the illusion that life can be controlled, the illusion that comfort is more important than truth, the illusion that honesty can be sacrificed to preserve harmony. But Dharma friendships are built for storm weather. They are forged in the understanding that the whole point of spiritual friendship is to wake up together, even if it hurts. This does not mean Dharma friends are harsh. It means they care too much to lie to you. They care too much to let you stay asleep when you could open your eyes. And they expect the same from you. This mutual responsibility creates a bond that is rare in this world, because it is not based on convenience or entertainment. It is based on the shared vow to walk the path. No matter what comes. Dharma friendships also dissolve the poison of shame. When you suffer in isolation, the mind quickly creates stories that you are broken, that no one else struggles like you do, that real practitioners do not fall apart like this. But in honest spiritual friendship, you hear the truth, everyone falls apart. Everyone doubts. Everyone forgets. Everyone collapses under the weight of their own fear sometimes. The difference is whether you have someone who will sit beside you until you remember your own strength. This is why the Buddha said Sangha is not just important. It is one of the three jewels, one of the central refuges that protect the heart on the path. Without Sangha, even the clear teachings can become distorted by the mind's endless ability to twist wisdom into self-judgment. Without Dharma friends, you lose the precious mirror that shows you your blind spots. The places where you are still clinging, still hiding, still trying to manipulate life to fit your expectations. A true Dharma friend does not judge these blind spots. They shine light on them with love, because they know the same blind spots live in them, too. This shared vulnerability creates the conditions for deep trust, the kind of trust that does not collapse when you show your darkest self. In a world where most people only present their polished surface, this kind of raw honesty is medicine for the soul. Ethical friendship also means holding each other to the highest standard of integrity, especially when life gets hard. In crisis, it is easy to justify cutting corners, saying cruel words because you're in pain, abandoning your practice because life feels unfair, blaming others instead of looking inward. A Dharma friend does not allow you to shrink like this. They remind you of your vows, not as punishment, but as a reminder of your own dignity. This accountability is not control. It is love. It is the kind of love that says, "I see you as bigger than this moment. I see the wisdom in you even when you forget it yourself. I know you are capable of meeting this storm with courage, because I have seen you do it before. And I will sit with you until you remember how to do it again." This is why Dharma friendship is not built quickly. It is forged over time through shared practice, through shared silence, through the courage to tell each other the truth. It grows strongest when life breaks apart, because that is when the depth of the bond is tested. Anyone can be kind when life is easy. A real Dharma friend stays when life burns. This kind of friendship also protects you from spiritual isolation, the belief that your practice is only about your own awakening. The Buddha's path was never solitary. Even after his enlightenment, he sought companions, because awakening is not personal property. It is collective liberation. Every time you sit with your own suffering instead of projecting it onto others, you make the world a little gentler. Every time you help a Dharma friend return to their own wisdom, you lighten the collective load. In crisis, this collective aspect becomes even more essential. Personal suffering often blinds you to the suffering of others. But when you are held in the arms of real community, you remember that your pain is not private. It is shared. And every step you take toward clarity benefits everyone around you, not because you are teaching them, but because your presence itself becomes a refuge. This is why finding or building Sangha is not optional for deep practice. Without Sangha, you become lost in your own mind. With Sangha, you become part of something larger than yourself. A living stream of support, accountability, honesty, and shared courage. This stream carries you when your own strength runs dry, and you become part of the current that carries others in their hard seasons. Sangha does not need to be large. Even two people who share real commitment to truth can form a complete refuge. What matters is not numbers, but depth. The depth of mutual care. The depth of honesty. The depth of the shared vow to walk the path no matter how hard it gets. This vow transforms friendship into spiritual refuge, a shelter that stands even when personal comfort disappears. Dharma friendship also dissolves the illusion that independence is strength. Western culture often glorifies self-sufficiency. But the Buddha's teachings are clear: interdependence is the path. Needing others is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the recognition that we awaken together, or not at all. In crisis, this understanding becomes life-saving. When your own mind turns against you, you borrow the clarity of your Dharma friends until you remember your own. When fear makes you forget your practice, you lean into the practice of the Sangha until your hands stop shaking. This borrowing and offering of strength is not charity. It is spiritual survival. Over time, the line between giving and receiving blurs completely. Your Dharma friends are your refuge one day, and you are theirs the next. This mutual care creates a community strong enough to hold any storm, because no one is asked to hold it alone. This is the power of Sangha. The power of shared awakening. The power of belonging to a lineage of courage that stretches back to the Buddha himself. Even the Buddha, with all his wisdom, did not walk alone. Neither should you. The clockmaker of Prague. In the cobblestone heart of old Prague, there lived a master clockmaker named Joseph. His life was one of perfect, measured ticks. He maintained the great astronomical clock in the old town square, a marvel that had marked the hours for centuries. Joseph believed in order, predictably, in the beautiful, unbreakable logic of gears and escapements. Then, a neurological tremor began in his own hands, the very hands that calibrated perfection. Diagnosis: progressive, incurable. The ticking in his body was becoming erratic, out of sync with the world he loved. His first instinct was isolation. He withdrew from his apprentices, ashamed of his shaking hands, terrified of the moment he would desecrate the clock he was sworn to protect. He tried to practice the mindfulness he'd read about, sitting alone in his workshop, but his mind was a cacophony of fear and ticking. One evening, his oldest apprentice, a young woman named Teresa, did not leave at the usual hour. She sat on a stool, not speaking, simply assembling a small, simple gear train. Her presence was an irritant to his solitude. Days passed this way. She would work quietly on her own projects, a steady, unassuming presence. One day, Joseph's tremor was so bad he dropped a crucial, delicate spring. He stared at it on the floor, a symbol of everything ending. Without a word, Teresa picked it up. She didn't hand it back. Instead, she placed on the workbench a clock she had been building in secret. It was unlike any he had ever seen. Its mechanism was not hidden and perfect, but exposed. Some gears were slightly misshapen, their teeth irregular. The escapement had a soft, uneven tick-tock, tick-tock-tock. "It keeps time," she said simply. "But not the square's time. Its own time. I used discarded parts. Broken parts. The tremor in my own hands when I was learning." Joseph looked from the flawed, beautiful clock to his own trembling hands, then to Teresa's calm face. The Sangha had found him. It wasn't a group. It was one person who refused to let him suffer in the illusion of solitary strength. Her silent, patient presence became the mirror that showed him his path wasn't about maintaining perfect, external time, but about finding the rhythm within his own broken, beautiful mechanism. Together, They began designing clocks that celebrated irregularity, that made music from misfit gears. Joseph's final masterpiece was not a restoration of the old, but a creation that sang the truth of his own condition, a truth held steady by the fearless friendship that walked into his workshop and sat down beside his shame. Releasing the urgency of time. Even with the hands of your Dharma friends holding you steady and the warmth of Sangha reminding you that you are not alone, there is still a part of the mind that resists. It is the part that whispers, "This needs to be over now." It is the desperate voice that cannot sit still inside uncertainty. It wants resolution, clarity, answers, and it wants them immediately. This urgency feels almost physical, like an itch inside the bones. But underneath that urgency lies a misunderstanding that causes endless suffering. The mind believes in time the way it believes in gravity. It treats past and future like real places, solid and waiting. It thinks suffering is a timeline problem. If you could just escape the current moment and arrive at a better one, peace would return. This is why people beg for fast solutions. They believe relief exists somewhere else, somewhere in the future where the storm has passed, where healing is finished, where life makes sense again. But Buddhist wisdom offers a deeper truth, one that breaks this whole story apart. Time itself is not what you think it is. What you call the future is nothing but a thought arising now. What you call the past is nothing but a memory appearing now. The only actual reality is this moment. This breath. Right here. Everything else is a projection, a habit of mind confusing thoughts for reality. This matters in crisis because urgency feeds on time. The more you believe peace exists in the future, the more desperate you become to get there faster. Every spiritual bypass, every unhealthy shortcut, every desperate grab for relief comes from this core illusion. The belief that healing is somewhere else, sometime later. But healing does not happen in the future. Healing only happens now. And now does not belong to time. This is what Buddhist temporal philosophy reveals. Time is not a river you float down. It is a mental construction. The past is already gone. The future has never existed. The only thing that ever happens, happens now. And this now is not the product of the past or the seed of the future. It is a fresh arising, moment after moment. Understanding this dismantles urgency at the root. If there is no future to rush toward, what is the hurry? If every healing, every insight, every breakthrough can only happen in the space of now, then what use is running? The race itself was a misunderstanding. You were already home. Not because life became easy, but because the only place healing ever lived was inside the space you were too restless to notice. This shift does not make you passive. It makes you present. Instead of rushing to solve the unsolvable, you learn to care for what is here. Instead of demanding that pain disappear quickly, you become curious about what pain actually is right now, not as a story about future suffering, but as a direct experience in this breath. This dissolves the craving for fast solutions because you no longer believe solutions live somewhere else. If peace cannot be found now, it will not be found later. This does not mean ignoring real action. It means understanding that action itself can only arise now, and only from clarity, not panic. The belief in time also creates false deadlines for healing. You think grief should be gone after a few months. You think you should be strong again by next year. You compare your timeline to others, or to some internal calendar that says growth should happen faster. But growth does not follow human clocks. Healing unfolds at the speed of reality itself. And reality does not obey human impatience. This is why Buddhist practice teaches patience, not as passivity, but as wisdom. Patience is what happens when you stop fighting the natural pace of life. It is the courage to meet each moment without demanding it hurry up. This kind of patience is fierce, because it asks you to trust life's timing even when your heart is breaking. This trust is only possible when you see time for what it is, a mental habit, not a law of reality. The clock measures change, but it doesn't measure healing. Healing is not a product of hours passing. It is a product of presence deepening. Some moments reveal more truth in one breath than years of avoidance ever could. And some wounds take decades to soften because the mind resists meeting them fully. When you understand time this way, you stop bargaining with reality. You stop saying, "I'll be okay if this is over by next month." You stop setting deadlines for awakening. You stop treating spiritual practice like a race to the finish line. Instead, you become deeply intimate with now. You stop waiting for peace to arrive later. You stop postponing your own heart until conditions improve. This intimacy with now also dissolves the fear of the future. Because you see clearly, the future is just a thought appearing now. It has no substance. It cannot harm you. All fear of the future is really fear of your imagination. Fear of a story the mind is telling itself in this very breath. This does not mean ignoring preparation or refusing to act wisely. It means acting without panic, because panic comes from believing the story is already real. This understanding transforms how you face crisis itself. Instead of seeing crisis as a bad period of time you need to escape, you see crisis as a series of moments. Each one fresh. Each one workable. You stop labeling the whole season bad and start meeting each breath inside the storm with curiosity instead of rejection. This attention to moment-by-moment reality does not mean forgetting the larger picture. It means understanding that the larger picture is always made of this moment. The healing you seek is not a future event. It's the way you meet this moment right now. If you meet this moment with clarity, you are already healing. Not because the pain is gone, but because the relationship to the pain is no longer built on avoidance. This is the secret of timeless healing, the understanding that all healing is really the art of staying present. Not waiting for the future to bring relief, but allowing this moment to reveal its full truth, including its pain, its beauty, and its wisdom. This is why Buddhist practice emphasizes direct experience over concepts. Concepts live in time. Experience only happens now. The craving to fix everything quickly comes from forgetting this. It comes from believing that peace lives in some future you have not reached. This belief turns every moment into a means to an end, something to rush through on the way to something better. But Buddhist wisdom asks you to reverse this completely. It asks you to treat this moment as the destination itself. Even if this moment hurts, it is still the only doorway to freedom. Avoiding it only postpones the meeting you will eventually have to face. This is why rushing never works. Healing cannot be forced. Insight cannot be scheduled. And wisdom does not arrive faster because you demand it. Wisdom arrives when you stop running away from now. This transforms even the idea of progress. The mind thinks progress means moving forward in time. But spiritual progress means deepening presence in this moment. The more fully you meet what is here, the more the habitual need to escape dissolves. This is real progress, not escaping pain, but meeting pain without resistance. When you see time this way, you also stop fearing backward steps, because you understand there is no backward. Every time old patterns arise, they do not erase your progress. They become part of the path. The path is not a line moving forward. It is a deepening spiral, always returning to now. But with new depth every time you meet yourself honestly. This changes your whole relationship with effort. When you believe in time, effort feels heavy, a constant struggle to move forward. When you see through time, effort becomes simply showing up for this moment fully. There's nowhere else to go. The destination was never in the future. It was always this breath, this body, this feeling. This understanding brings profound relief. The urgency softens. The racing mind slows. The body relaxes into the trust that nothing needs to be forced. This trust does not come from blind faith. It comes from seeing directly, time is only a thought. And the freedom you seek has always been hiding inside this moment you were too busy to fully enter. This is the freedom Buddhist teachers describe as the end of becoming, the moment when you stop waiting to become someone else in the future, and instead meet yourself completely now. In that meeting, healing happens. Not later, but now. Not as an escape from now, but as the natural unfolding of presence itself. This is the invitation. Let go of rushing. Let go of fixing. Let go of trying to outrun your own heart. Come back to the only place healing ever lived, here. Now. In the silence beneath every craving. The power of right speech. When the urgency to fix everything softens and the mind no longer races to escape the present, something else rises to the surface, your voice. The words you speak when life breaks apart carry power far greater than most people realize. In times of personal loss or collective fear, every word either plants calm or spreads fire. There is no neutral speech when the air itself is trembling. And this is why the Buddha placed right speech directly on the Noble Eightfold Path. Because in times of suffering, how you speak becomes a form of practice, just as sacred as meditation itself. Speech is not just communication. It is action. Every word you release into the world shapes reality, not only for others, but for yourself. In a crisis, words have weight. They do not float past unnoticed. They land inside the hearts of those already shaken. And this landing creates consequences that ripple far beyond what you can see. When words are careless, they fuel confusion, spread blame, and reinforce fear. When words are clear, they become a lantern in the fog. They stabilize the inner ground for both speaker and listener. Right speech begins long before sound leaves the mouth. It begins at the root, the intention behind the words. When speech arises from fear, it carries the vibration of fear. When it arises from clarity, it carries the stillness of truth. In personal crises, most speech begins as self-protection, the urge to explain, defend, control, or blame. But Buddhist practice invites a pause before speaking. Ask, what is the real intention here? Am I speaking to relieve my own tension, or to offer something of value to the moment? This pause changes everything. It interrupts the automatic flow of reactive words and creates space for something wiser to emerge. The pause is the breathing room where right speech begins. Without it, words pour out, driven by old patterns that have nothing to do with the present moment and everything to do with the mind's habit of self-defense. Right speech is not about being polite. It is about telling the truth without causing harm. In personal crisis, this means naming what is real. Not exaggerating. Not softening. But naming with clarity and care. This naming does not rush to conclusions. It does not assign blame prematurely. It does not predict disaster or demand resolution. It simply says what is true right now, in a way that opens space instead of closing it. This kind of speech is rare because most people speak to control how they are seen. Right speech does the opposite. It serves the moment itself, not the ego's need for reassurance. It asks, what words would serve clarity here? What words would ease confusion, not by pretending all is well, but by honestly reflecting what is happening, without adding extra fear. In collective crisis, the stakes grow even higher. Every sentence becomes part of the emotional climate. Panic spreads through unchecked speech, rumors, half-truths, exaggerated dangers. This is why right speech is not just personal virtue. It is collective medicine. Every calm word acts as a counterweight to hysteria. Every clear sentence becomes a place for others to stand when their own ground feels unstable. This does not mean denying reality or sugarcoating pain. Right speech is not false positivity. It is accurate. It acknowledges fear without amplifying it. It names suffering without drowning in it. This precision requires inner steadiness, because only a steady mind can speak steadily. Without personal clarity, speech will always reflect inner confusion. This is why speech is the external mirror of internal practice. How you speak reveals the depth of your presence. This connection between inner clarity and outer speech is often overlooked. People try to correct their words without correcting the mental state behind them. But right speech cannot be faked. If the heart is full of resentment, words will carry that energy even if the surface sounds polite. If the heart is calm, even difficult truths land softly. This is why right speech begins with inner honesty, the willingness to see your own fear, your own bias, your own desire to control. In personal crisis, speech also shapes self-perception. The words you speak about yourself become the story you believe. If you constantly say, "I can't handle this," the mind carves that belief into reality. If you say, "This is hard, but I will meet it," you plant resilience. Right speech applies not only to others, but to how you narrate your own experience to yourself. Every sentence becomes a seed, planting either courage or collapse. This means right speech is not silence, but wise choice. Sometimes silence is kind. Sometimes clarity requires naming what no one wants to say. In families under stress, silence often hides the truth, pretending all is well while resentment festers. But unfiltered speech can also harm, speaking raw anger without processing it first. Right speech walks the middle path, speaking truth with care, not to punish or release personal tension, but to serve understanding. This kind of speech heals communities because clear communication dissolves unnecessary conflict. When fear drives speech, people assume the worst of each other. They fill silence with suspicion. But when speech is direct, transparent, and kind, trust grows. Even hard truths can build connection when spoken from clarity, because people sense the difference between speech that aims to blame and speech that aims to understand. This is why right speech is a practice of responsibility. In times of crisis, your words do not belong only to you. They belong to the collective field. Each word contributes to either calm or confusion. This responsibility is not heavy. It is empowering, because it means you always have the power to contribute peace, even in chaos. Even when fear rises, you can choose words that stabilize rather than inflame. This responsibility also applies to what you consume. Right speech is not only what you say, but what you choose to listen to and share. In times of crisis, gossip is poison. Spreading unverified fear, even with good intentions, adds to collective suffering. Right speech includes the discipline to pause before sharing. To ask, does this serve clarity, or does this spread fear? Is this helpful, or does this only add noise? This discipline applies equally to online speech. Social media is a fire that burns faster than anything ancient practitioners could have imagined. Every post, every comment, every headline you repeat shapes collective reality. Right speech online requires even greater care, because written words lose tone, and misunderstanding multiplies. This is why right speech in modern times includes restraint, the ability to leave some things unsaid when saying them would only feed division. But restraint does not mean silence in the face of harm. Right speech is also courageous. When injustice rises, right speech names it, not with hatred, but with clear truth. Right speech does not hide behind politeness when lives are at stake. It tells the truth with love, even when the truth is hard to hear. This balance, truth and love together, is what makes right speech a spiritual force. This courage also applies inwardly. In personal healing, right speech means telling yourself the truth. Not stories designed to protect your pride, but the actual truth of your experience. Denial blocks healing. False positivity suffocates growth. Right speech towards yourself means naming your pain without embellishment, and naming your strength without minimizing it. This honesty creates inner stability because the mind no longer has to split between what is true and what is allowed to be said. This split is a hidden source of suffering, the internal censorship that says some truths are too ugly to face. Right speech dissolves this censorship by welcoming all truth into the light, not as judgment, but as part of the path. In times of crisis, the voice becomes an offering. Every word can be a refuge or a weapon. Right speech asks, what kind of world am I building with my voice? What seeds am I planting with my words? This is not perfectionism. It is care. The kind of care that knows speech shapes the future just as surely as action does. Right speech does not promise comfort. It promises clarity with kindness. It offers truth not to control others, but to free them from confusion. It offers honesty not to wound, but to light the way forward. In this way, right speech becomes a practice of compassion. The compassion to tell the truth. The compassion to say less when less is kinder. And the compassion to speak even when silence would be safer. In every storm, the voice becomes either a refuge or another wave. Right speech chooses to be the refuge. And in choosing that, you become not only clearer yourself, you become a voice others can trust when trust is hard to find. Taming the hungry ghost. Even when words are carefully chosen, even when silence is skillful, and even when the outer storm quiets for a moment, there is still something beneath the surface. A hunger that gnaws at the edges of the heart. This hunger is older than this crisis. It was waiting long before today's problems arrived. It is the craving for more, the fear of not enough, the deep-seated belief that something is missing, and that something must be found or fixed immediately. This inner hunger has many faces. Sometimes it disguises itself as the need for quick comfort, reaching for food, scrolling endlessly, searching for someone to blame. Other times it pretends to be spiritual ambition, trying to meditate harder, to read faster, to achieve some magical moment of enlightenment that will erase all fear. But underneath every disguise is the same root desperation, born from forgetting your own sufficiency. Buddhism names this preta, the hungry ghost. A being with a huge empty belly and a throat too narrow to receive nourishment. This is not a creature from myth. It is a mirror for the inner state of craving that can take hold in anyone, especially in times of loss or uncertainty. When the world feels unstable, the mind panics and begins grasping for safety anywhere it can. This grasping feels urgent, like survival itself depends on it. But it is a trick of the craving mind. This is not your fault. It is how the mind has been conditioned by lifetimes of seeking security outside itself. Every advertisement, every cultural message, every personal fear has taught you to believe peace comes from getting what you want, fixing what feels wrong, and protecting what you already have. This constant reaching trains the mind to live in hunger, even when nothing is missing. In times of actual crisis, this ancient hunger wakes up louder than ever. The hungry ghost feeds on fear. Fear of losing what you love. Fear of being left out. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear that you will never be enough. And once the ghost awakens, it starts running the show. It grabs for distraction. It demands answers. It insists that you must solve everything immediately or you will be swallowed by emptiness. But the hungry ghost cannot be fed with what it wants. It wants everything, and no amount of external comfort will satisfy it. This is because the hunger was never physical. It was never about the food, the money, the praise, or the relationship. The hunger is spiritual disconnection, the forgetting of your own basic completeness. It is the belief that you are fundamentally lacking, and that something outside yourself can fill the hole. This forgetting is especially easy in times of loss, because loss exposes the rawness of human vulnerability. It is tempting to believe that if you could only replace what was lost, the job, the relationship, the security, then peace would return. But this is exactly the ghost's game. It keeps the mind chasing one external fix after another, always promising relief just over the next horizon. And each time relief does not last, the craving grows deeper. Taming this ghost does not mean crushing desire or pretending you have no needs. It means seeing through the ghost's illusions. Understanding that the hunger it feeds on is a misunderstanding of what you truly are. You're not lacking. You're not incomplete. Even in grief, even in fear, even in chaos, you are already whole. But this wholeness cannot be grasped. It can only be remembered by turning directly toward the hunger itself. This turning toward is the opposite of what the craving mind wants. It wants escape. It wants distraction. But Buddhist practice offers something deeper, the invitation to sit right inside the hunger without trying to solve it. This sitting is not passive. It is a radical act of trust. The trust that if you meet the hungry ghost with awareness instead of feeding it with craving, something will shift. What shifts is not the outer world. It is your relationship to the hunger itself. You begin to see that the feeling of lack is not a personal flaw. It is a passing weather pattern in the mind. It does not define you. It does not own you. It does not need to be obeyed. When you stop feeding the ghost with endless grasping, the ghost begins to shrink. This shrinking does not happen instantly. The hungry ghost has been part of your inner landscape for so long it feels like who you are. It whispers that without constant wanting, you will disappear. But as you meet it with awareness, not pushing it away, but seeing it clearly, you realize, the ghost was never you. It was a habit of mind. A survival strategy from long ago that no longer serves you. This is where compassion comes in. The hungry ghost is not evil. It is scared. It is the part of you that once believed you had to perform to be loved, achieve to be safe, and control everything to survive. That part of you is exhausted. And what it needs is not more feeding, but gentle recognition. You tell the ghost, *I see you. I know why you're afraid. But you are no longer in charge, *. This inner dialogue softens the ghost's grip. Instead of reacting to every craving as if it is urgent truth, you create space. The space to choose differently. You stop. And when the craving mind relaxes, you begin to taste something the ghost could never imagine: contentment in the middle of imperfection. You realize you do not need to fix every problem before you can breathe again. You do not need to secure every future outcome before you can feel safe again. You do not need anyone else to validate your worth before you remember your own goodness. This contentment is not complacency. It is freedom from desperate needing. It is the kind of ease that arises not because life is perfect, but because you have stopped demanding perfection from life. The hungry ghost doesn't understand this kind of ease, because it is built on presence instead of possession. It comes from tasting your own completeness directly, rather than trying to collect it from external sources. Taming the hungry ghost also frees your relationships. When you no longer treat others as suppliers of your missing pieces, you love them with less fear and more honesty. You stop clinging to them as sources of safety. You meet them as they are, whole humans just like you, walking their own path of craving and release. This transforms love from a transaction into a shared presence. This clarity also transforms how you respond to collective crisis. When the hungry ghost runs unchecked, fear spreads like wildfire, fueled by desperation to control the uncontrollable. But when you meet your own craving mind with awareness, you become a stabilizing presence. Others sense it. They lean toward your calm because it reminds them of their own hidden calm. This is why taming the hungry ghost is not just personal healing. It is a gift to the whole community. Every time you interrupt the cycle of craving and panic inside yourself, you reduce the collective weight of human desperation. Every time you meet your own hunger with kindness instead of grasping, you contribute to a world that knows desire does not have to drive every action. This is the heart of Buddhist wealth, the wealth of knowing nothing is missing. It does not mean you stop working for justice or comfort or safety. It means you work without desperation. From the ground of inner sufficiency, instead of from lack. This changes the quality of every action. Action rooted in craving creates more suffering. Action rooted in contentment creates space for real solutions. This contentment is not a gift from outside. It is a remembering. The remembering that your true nature was never broken. The hungry ghost forgot this, and so it ran from life to life, meal to meal, craving to craving, always reaching and never receiving. But you are not the ghost. You are the awareness that can meet the ghost with love, and set it free. This freedom is not mystical. It is available now, in the simple act of pausing before you chase the next craving. In that pause lives the whole path. The chance to meet yourself not as a starving seeker, but as a being who was always enough. Dharma art, transforming suffering into expression. When the hungry ghost releases its grip and craving no longer controls every thought, something unexpected rises to the surface. Underneath the hunger, there is something that was waiting all along, the raw energy of suffering itself. No longer hidden under distraction or disguise, but fully present and fully alive. This energy is not the enemy. It holds the seeds of your deepest wisdom, but only if you know how to meet it with something greater than analysis or avoidance. In the Buddhist world, suffering is not seen as a mistake to erase or a punishment to endure. It is understood as a teacher waiting to be honored. And one of the most ancient ways this honoring happens is through Dharma art, the practice of transforming suffering into expression, turning the raw material of heartbreak into something that illuminates truth for the one who creates and the one who witnesses. This is not art for decoration or entertainment. It is not about talent or performance. It is art as a spiritual offering, a bridge between the personal and the universal. In times of grief, fear, or despair, words often fail. The mind does not know how to explain what the heart feels. But art, poetry, chant, dance, ritual, allows the unspeakable to find shape, giving suffering a body it can move through. And in that movement, something opens. This practice stretches across Buddhist cultures. From the calligraphy of Zen monks in Japan, where each brushstroke is a meditation on impermanence, to the intricate sand mandalas of Tibetan monks, where beauty is created only to be destroyed, teaching the hands themselves that nothing can be held forever. These are not artistic hobbies. They are acts of direct teaching, where suffering is invited to reveal its truth instead of being hidden or solved. In personal crisis, the same possibility exists. When words fall short, the hands can speak. Writing a single line of truth, even if no one ever reads it, is an act of courage. Painting grief in color and form, without needing it to look beautiful, is a kind of prayer without words. Chanting a verse until sound itself carries the weight of sorrow out of the body is a form of healing no analysis can match. This is not self-expression for its own sake. It is expression as a way of discovering the Dharma hidden inside pain. When suffering is only felt inside the mind, it can become vague, endless, and suffocating. But when suffering is given shape, it becomes something you can see, touch, and even bow to. The act of creation turns suffering into something you can have a relationship with, instead of something you are trapped inside. This process works because suffering itself is not solid. It feels overwhelming when it is avoided or suppressed. But when you welcome it into form, you see that it constantly changes. The sadness you write today will not be the sadness you write tomorrow. The anger that colors your painting now will shift into something softer by the time the brush leaves the paper. This is the teaching of impermanence not as philosophy, but as experience. In collective crisis, this becomes even more powerful. In times of war, oppression, and disaster, Buddhist cultures have often responded not only with prayer and meditation, but with communal acts of expressive healing. Entire temples were built not just as places to pray, but as expressions of collective grief and collective hope. Each carving, each painted wall, each rhythmic chant carried the weight of suffering and transformed it into beauty, not to deny the pain, but to give it a place to rest. This does not erase injustice. It transforms the energy of despair into the energy of wisdom. It teaches that even in suffering, there is creative power. Even when everything is lost, something can still be offered. This is why Buddhist art is so often born from monastic communities that understood hardship intimately, exile, persecution, famine. The art that emerged was not from comfort. It was from the heart's refusal to let suffering be the final word. On a personal level, this means the moments when you feel most powerless are the moments when you are most invited to create something. Not to distract yourself, but to let suffering show you what it has come to teach. This might mean writing a letter to the fear itself, addressing your pain directly instead of talking about it in the third person. It might mean creating a personal ritual, lighting a candle each morning not to escape the grief, but to bow to it with respect. This is the opposite of numbing out. It is a radical act of presence, the refusal to turn away even when turning away feels easier. This is why many Buddhist cultures teach that the hands must practice as much as the mind. Because the hands know how to carry suffering differently than thoughts do. The hands know how to make offerings even when the heart breaks. This is why ritual is also part of Dharma art. When monks chant for the dead or write prayers for the sick, they are not pretending they can control fate. They are giving form to love, turning inner care into outer action. This outer action calms the inner storm because the heart knows it has done what it could, not to fix the world, but to offer beauty and truth back to it. This offering does not require anyone to see it. The sand mandala is swept away. The calligraphy scroll is burned. The chant dissolves into silence. This impermanence is the point. The art does not need to last to be meaningful. Its purpose is to teach the heart how to meet suffering with creativity instead of collapse. The heart learns to express what cannot be solved. This changes your relationship with hardship. When you know that every feeling, no matter how raw, can be given shape and offered, you stop fearing your own heart. You stop thinking pain must be hidden until it's gone. You see pain as material for awakening. Not because suffering is beautiful, but because meeting suffering creatively reveals hidden beauty. This creativity is not about skill. It does not matter if the poem is perfect, if the chant is in tune, if the painting looks good. This is not art for praise. It is art for truth. A way of saying to yourself, this is what I feel. This is what I know. This is what life is right now, that truth is the medicine, because suffering grows heavier when it is unnamed and unseen. When you bring it into form, even the heaviest grief begins to breathe. This also softens the fear of future suffering. When you know you have the tools to meet pain creatively, you no longer dread it in the same way. You trust your hands to hold it. You trust your voice to carry it. You trust that no matter how deep the sadness, there is always a way to honor it. This trust does not erase fear, but it gives you confidence to meet life directly. This is why Buddhist cultures do not separate art from practice. The brush becomes the teacher. The chanting becomes meditation. The poem becomes a Dharma talk you give to yourself. Expression and awakening become the same path, the path of turning everything, even suffering, into an offering back to life itself. This understanding means even the most private acts of expression, writing in your journal, arranging flowers for no one to see, are part of the path. They are not indulgent. They are necessary acts of remembering. Remembering that suffering is not the end of the story. It is the raw material from which wisdom is carved. This does not mean glorifying pain. It means trusting that pain can be worked with, that nothing you feel is too ugly or too broken to offer. Every feeling, when given space and form, becomes part of the sacred dialogue between self and truth. And this dialogue is the real art. The art of living awake inside a world that will always break your heart, and still choosing to create something beautiful from the pieces. The hands know what the mind forgets. You were born to offer something. Even if that something is just the truth of your own experience, given shape in whatever way feels real. This is not performance. It is prayer without words. It is healing without hiding. It is transforming suffering not by removing it, but by giving it back to life as a gift of honesty. The 6 paramithas, a survival kit for the soul. Once suffering has been given shape through creation, and the heart has learned that even its darkest moments can become offerings of truth, another question quietly rises. After the art is complete and the ritual ends, how do you walk forward? Life does not pause for healing to finish. The world keeps moving, and crises keep unfolding. What do you carry with you to meet what comes next? In Buddhism, there is no separate survival kit for hard times and gentle times. There is only the path itself. And at the heart of this path are the 6 paramithas, 6 qualities that are not abstract ideals, but practical survival skills for the soul. They are not just virtues to admire. They are tools to use when life burns. Each one becomes a kind of medicine for a different form of suffering. And together, they form a complete way of being when the ground shakes beneath your feet. The first of these skills is generosity. Most people think of generosity as something you offer when you feel full and safe. But in Buddhist practice, generosity is a survival tool exactly when you feel most empty. When fear tells you to close your hands and guard what little you have, generosity opens the hand anyway. It breaks the spell of scarcity by showing you directly that you are never too poor to give. This is not limited to money. In times of personal crisis, the most powerful gift you can offer is presence itself. Your attention. Your care. Your willingness to witness someone else's pain even while carrying your own. Generosity becomes the antidote to isolation, because when you offer even a small kindness, you remember you still have something to give. And this breaks the inner story that says you are powerless. This giving is not self-sacrifice. It is a reclaiming of your own capacity to affect the world, even when you cannot control your own life. It shifts the inner focus from, what is missing, to, what can I offer right now? And in that shift, the mind tastes freedom, not because problems disappear, but because you are no longer a prisoner of your own fear. The second skill is morality. In times of fear, morality can feel like a luxury, something you follow when life is easy. But morality is not about rules for rules' sake. It is the art of protecting your own dignity when the world feels out of control. Crisis often triggers desperation. And desperation leads to cutting corners, saying things you don't mean, treating people like enemies, justifying actions you would regret in calmer times. Morality guards you from losing yourself when the pressure rises. This guarding is not rigid or judgmental. It is self-respect in action. It is the decision to hold your values, especially when life tempts you to throw them aside. When you stay honest in moments where lying would be easier, when you choose care over cruelty even in anger, you are not only protecting others. You are protecting your own sense of who you are. And this sense of inner dignity becomes a kind of armor, the knowledge that even if you lose everything, you did not betray yourself. The third skill is patience. But not the passive patience of waiting for the storm to pass. This is active patience, the ability to stay present inside the storm without demanding it end on your schedule. It is the courage to stand in discomfort without trying to force relief. In crisis, the mind wants quick solutions. It wants problems solved immediately so tension can dissolve. But many forms of suffering cannot be rushed. Patience is the strength to hold steady in that uncomfortable space between pain and resolution. It teaches the body how to breathe inside fear, how to sit beside grief without needing to fix it. This patience is not weakness. It is a quiet form of bravery. The bravery to trust that reality unfolds at its own pace, and that your job is not to force solutions, but to stay awake through every moment until clarity comes. This patience is not resignation. It is faith in the nature of impermanence, the deep knowing that no storm lasts forever, and that your ability to endure depends not on fighting time, but on meeting each moment exactly as it is. This creates an inner strength that is unshakable because it is no longer dependent on life matching your preferences. The fourth survival skill is energy, or wholeheartedness. This is not about constant productivity. It is about showing up fully for whatever the moment asks, whether that is action or stillness. In personal crisis, it is easy to swing between numbing out and exhausting yourself with frantic fixing. Neither of these is energy. Real energy is the willingness to engage with life directly, without shrinking back or running away. This energy is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet energy of refusing to abandon yourself in despair. Sometimes it is the fierce energy of taking action even when action feels impossible. And sometimes it is the steady energy of returning to practice even when the mind says practice will not help. This kind of energy does not come from force. It comes from devotion to staying awake, the understanding that every moment is an opportunity to deepen. The fifth skill is meditation. But not just formal sitting practice. Meditation as a survival skill means the ability to return to direct experience when the mind spins into stories. It means coming back to the body when thoughts become unbearable. It means learning to trust the bare reality of this breath more than the imagined disasters of the future. This returning is the antidote to panic, because panic lives in imagined time. Meditation anchors you in the only time suffering can actually be met, now. It trains the mind to see thoughts for what they are, not facts, but passing events, like weather. This ability to step back from thought creates choice, the choice to respond instead of react. In crisis, meditation becomes a refuge inside your own skin, the place you go not to escape, but to remember that awareness itself is unbroken even when life is falling apart. It teaches you to trust presence itself, not as a trick to avoid pain, but as the only place where healing happens. The sixth and final skill is wisdom. But wisdom is not something you collect from books. It is the clarity born from seeing directly. In times of suffering, wisdom means understanding what causes more suffering and what causes less. It means seeing through the illusions that suffering magnifies, the illusion of permanence, the illusion of separateness, the illusion that controlling the outer world will calm the inner one. Wisdom is the knowing that arises when suffering itself becomes the teacher. It does not mean having all the answers. It means seeing clearly that craving, avoidance, and resistance feed suffering, while presence, compassion, and honesty dissolve it. This wisdom is not complicated. It is the wisdom that remembers to pause before speaking in anger. It is the wisdom that knows no feeling lasts forever. It is the wisdom that remembers even in grief, you are not alone. When these 6 skills come together, they form a way of moving through the world that no crisis can destroy. Generosity keeps your heart open. Morality keeps your dignity intact. Patience keeps you grounded in the pace of reality. Energy keeps you engaged. Meditation keeps you present. Wisdom keeps you clear. Together, they become a compass that works even when the map is lost. These skills are called paramithas, perfections. Not because you must master them perfectly, but because they lead to the perfection of your human potential. They show you that survival is not only about getting through. It is about using hardship itself to become someone who can carry suffering with wisdom and love, not only for yourself, but for everyone you touch. These are not skills for monks alone. They are the birthright of every human heart that longs to live awake, even when life hurts. They are the survival kit already inside you, waiting to be unpacked, not as theories, but as the way you meet today. Walking meditation, when grief lives in the body. Even when you carry the wisdom of the paramithas in your heart, there are times when stillness itself becomes too heavy to hold. The body remembers things the mind has not yet faced. And grief begins to live in the muscles, the bones, the breath. No amount of understanding or insight can release the weight that has settled deep into the body's memory. In these times, when sitting with grief feels like drowning inside it, the body must move. This is why Buddhist traditions do not teach healing only through silent sitting. They also teach walking meditation, not as a secondary practice, but as a path for the body to process what the heart cannot yet name. Walking meditation is not exercise. It is not a method for relaxation or distraction. It is a pilgrimage without a destination, a way of meeting sorrow step by step, allowing grief to move through the body instead of getting trapped inside it. Grief is not only emotional. It is physical. It arrives in tightness across the chest, in the collapsing of posture, in shallow breath, in the heaviness of limbs that no longer want to carry you forward. The body itself carries the memory of every loss, even the ones the mind has tried to forget. Walking meditation offers the body a way to speak, a way to release what cannot be released through thought alone. In Buddhist cultures, walking meditation is often done in circles or along simple paths, not because the outer landscape matters, but because the movement itself mirrors the path of life. Step by step, breath by breath, moving forward without knowing exactly where you are going. This is the essence of grief itself. It has no map. It does not follow a straight line. It comes and goes in waves. And walking meditation teaches the body how to move with those waves instead of resisting them. The act of placing one foot in front of the other with full attention begins to untangle the knots of frozen grief. When attention rests fully in the soles of the feet, the weight of the mind starts to drop down into the earth, giving sorrow somewhere to go instead of keeping it trapped behind the ribs. Every step becomes an offering, giving back to the earth the weight you have carried alone. In times of personal loss, the mind often tries to control grief by making stories about why it happened, what could have been different, who is to blame, or what the future will hold now. But these stories only add weight to the grief itself. Walking meditation shifts attention away from these mental spirals and brings it back to the bare experience of movement, this step, this breath, this contact with the earth. This does not erase grief. It allows grief to become fluid, to move through you instead of living inside you like a stone. It teaches you that movement itself is a kind of healing. Not because you walk away from pain, but because you walk with it until it no longer needs to control you. This is why walking meditation is not a break from practice. It is the practice, especially in times of mourning when stillness feels impossible. Walking meditation also grounds the body in reality, which grief often distorts. When the heart is broken, the mind becomes untethered. It forgets the body is still here, still alive, still breathing. Walking brings the mind back into the body, back into the simple fact of aliveness, even when aliveness feels painful. This return is not comfort in the usual sense. It is the comfort of truth itself, the truth that you are still here, still capable of taking one more step. In some Buddhist traditions, walking meditation during grief is practiced barefoot whenever possible. This is not a ritual for its own sake. It is a direct teaching. The earth itself becomes the witness to your sorrow. The feet become the place where grief meets the ground. Each step becomes a gesture of letting go, not of the memory, but of the need to hold grief entirely alone. This physical release also allows other emotions to rise, emotions that grief often hides: guilt, anger, fear, even moments of unexpected joy. The steady rhythm of walking creates a container large enough for all of it, so nothing needs to be repressed or performed. This honesty is the medicine, because grief does not need to be solved. It needs to be witnessed without shame. Walking meditation also teaches the body to trust time again. After loss, time itself feels dangerous. The future feels empty. The past feels like a wound. But walking teaches, time only exists as this step, this breath. And within that step, you are safe enough to grieve. This is not about moving on. It is about moving with. Learning to carry sorrow in motion instead of trying to lock it away. This motion is not aimless. It follows the oldest spiritual truth, that the path itself is the healing. There is no end point where you are finally free of grief. There is only the willingness to keep walking, to let sorrow move at its own pace, to let each step become an act of remembrance and release at the same time. This dissolves the illusion that grief must end before life can continue. Instead, life and grief walk together. In some monasteries, walking meditation is done silently in community. Each person carrying their own inner weight, but walking side by side. This silent companionship reminds the body that grief is not a private burden. Even when no words are spoken, the simple fact of moving together softens isolation. This is why walking meditation can also be offered in remembrance ceremonies, where communities walk not to escape sorrow, but to honor it together. On a personal level, walking meditation becomes a ritual of return. After loss, it is tempting to shut down, to retreat from life itself. Walking practice becomes a way of gently returning to the world, not all at once, but step by step. Each step says, *I am still here. I am still capable of movement. I am still part of life. This is the quietest form of courage, the courage to show up again, even with a broken heart. This return also teaches the body to trust itself again. After trauma, the body often feels like the enemy, a place where pain lives, a reminder of what has been lost. Walking meditation restores the sense that the body is also a refuge, a place that can hold sorrow without collapsing. This trust does not come from forcing positivity. It comes from feeling the ground under your feet over and over, until the body remembers it belongs to the earth. This belonging is the final gift of walking meditation. Grief often makes you feel separate from life itself, cut off from the living, from beauty, from meaning. But walking brings you back into the fabric of the world, where your breath joins the wind, your steps touch the same earth that holds all ancestors, and your movement becomes part of the ancient rhythm of loss and renewal that every being walks through. This is why Buddhist cultures do not treat walking meditation as a small practice. It is recognized as a form of pilgrimage, not to a distant temple, but to the very heart of your own grief, your own healing, your own unbreakable belonging to life itself. Each step is both ordinary and sacred. Ordinary because it is just walking. Sacred because it is the body praying without words, asking for nothing except the courage to keep moving. This courage is not about fixing grief. It is about allowing grief to walk beside you without fear. It is about learning that sorrow does not need to be hidden to be carried well. It is about seeing that your heart can break and your feet can still walk, and that both are part of the same truth. The truth that to be human is to lose and love over and over, until walking itself becomes a kind of praise for everything you have ever held and lost. This praise does not need to be loud. Each quiet step is enough. Each step says, I will not run from this pain. I will not rush to solve what cannot be solved. I will walk with care. I will breathe with honesty. I will trust the earth to hold what is too heavy for me alone. This is how grief becomes pilgrimage, a journey not away from pain, but directly through it, until the heart remembers that even in loss, it still belongs to the earth, the sky, and the path that carries every being home. Contemplating death, Maranasati. Even after the body has walked the weight of grief into the earth, even after the feet have carried sorrow step by step into daylight, there remains one truth waiting quietly beneath all others. The truth that everything, including this life, including this very body, will one day come to an end. Most people know this truth somewhere in the back of the mind, but they keep it locked away, treating it like a shadow to avoid instead of a teacher to welcome. In Buddhist practice, avoiding this truth is seen as one of the most dangerous forms of forgetting. It leaves the heart vulnerable to shock each time life takes something away, each time change arrives, each time loss knocks on the door. When death remains a distant concept, every hardship feels personal, as though suffering itself is some kind of mistake instead of the natural consequence of holding on to what was always destined to pass. This is why Buddhist practice does not avoid death. It brings it into clear view. Maranasati, the practice of death contemplation, is not a dark obsession. It is a direct and tender facing of reality until the mind can no longer pretend that life owes you a certain number of years, or a certain type of outcome, or a future free from endings. Facing mortality is not about giving up. It is about waking up. Waking up to what matters when every illusion of permanence is stripped away. This facing is not theoretical. It means remembering every day that the breath you are taking right now could be the last one. This body, which feels so solid, is constantly moving toward its final letting go. Each heartbeat is one step closer to the last. Far from being morbid, this remembrance frees the heart. It shatters procrastination. It dissolves the arrogance of assuming you have time to waste. It reminds you that this moment is precious, because it will not come again. This understanding changes how you meet every hardship. When you truly know life is fleeting, you no longer treat difficulty like a punishment to endure. You see it for what it is, part of the fleeting beauty of being alive. Even pain becomes part of the gift when you realize that one day, even pain will be taken from you. This does not make pain enjoyable, but it does make it bearable, because nothing, not even suffering, lasts forever. This is why Buddhist teachers compare life to a bubble on water, brief, shimmering, fragile, and already vanishing. This truth is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake up the tenderness inside you, the part that knows every moment with someone you love is a temporary miracle, the part that understands even your own breath is borrowed. This tenderness is the birthplace of courage. The courage to live fully while you can, not because you expect life to stay the same, but because you know it will not. This courage is not about fearlessness. It is about seeing fear clearly and understanding where it comes from. Fear clings to life because it believes life belongs to you. But Maranasati dissolves this illusion. Life was never yours to keep. It's a gift on loan. And the fact that you will lose it makes every moment of it shine brighter. This is why those who deeply contemplate death do not become hopeless. They become kinder, more awake, and less willing to waste even 1 hour on hatred or greed. This is also why death contemplation is a source of forgiveness. When you remember that both you and everyone who ever hurt you will die, the urgency to cling to blame begins to weaken. You see that no one, no matter how powerful, escapes mortality. This includes your enemies, your loved ones, and yourself. Knowing this, what grudge could ever be more important than the fragile truth of time itself? This does not mean pretending harm does not matter. It means seeing that time will take all of us, and understanding that holding hatred inside your own heart only wastes the brief time you have left. Maranasati is not only about your own death. It is about seeing that everyone is walking toward the same ending, whether they admit it or not. This shared fate dissolves the illusion of separation, because no one is spared. This contemplation also frees you from the tyranny of perfectionism. When you truly know death is coming, you no longer postpone life until you feel perfect, until you are fully healed, until you have everything figured out. You understand, there is no time for such delays. Life is not waiting for you to become flawless. It is happening now. And every breath you spend waiting for a better version of yourself is a breath lost forever. This honesty also frees you from false priorities. When you realize you could die tonight, the endless chase for external validation feels suddenly ridiculous. The craving for status, for applause, for the approval of people who will also die, it all collapses under the weight of reality. What matters when death is real is how you live today, not in some grand, heroic way, but in the small choices. Whether you spoke kindly, whether you softened in love, whether you were awake for the life you were given. This is why many Buddhist traditions meditate in graveyards or keep skulls on the altar, not out of morbid fascination, but to remember what is true. The body you decorate, protect, and praise will one day return to the earth. Knowing this is not meant to create despair. It is meant to break the trance of forgetting, so that you do not spend your limited time chasing illusions. This remembrance also dissolves spiritual pride. No matter how wise you become, no matter how much you understand, your body will die just like every other body. This humbles the mind. It reminds you that spiritual practice is not a way to escape mortality. It is a way to meet mortality without fear, to face your own vanishing with the same tenderness you would offer someone you love. This is why death contemplation is a practice of love, not of fear. It teaches you to love life fiercely because it is brief. It teaches you to love others fully because they are also temporary. It teaches you to love yourself without condition because there is no time to waste. And this love, born directly from the truth of impermanence, becomes the courage that carries you through every difficulty. This courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear shrink your life. When you know death is coming, you no longer wait for the perfect time to love, to forgive, to create, to speak your truth. You understand, this breath is your only guarantee. And that makes you brave enough to live fully now, not because you know what comes next, but because you know this moment is already enough. This courage also transforms how you meet aging and illness. When death is denied, aging becomes the source of terror. When death is contemplated daily, aging becomes an invitation, a reminder that every line on your face is a mark of having lived, every ache in the body is a teacher pointing toward letting go. You stop seeing aging as failure and start seeing it as the final teaching, the teaching that nothing stays, and that the beauty of life is inseparable from its fleeting nature. This understanding also softens attachment to identity. When you know death will take not only your body, but every role you ever played, you stop clinging so tightly to who you think you are. You become freer to change, freer to release old stories, freer to meet each moment as new. This flexibility makes you resilient, because when identity is not a prison, change is not a threat. Maranasati also dissolves the fear of failure. When death is real, failure loses its teeth. You understand, the real failure is not losing or making mistakes. The real failure is never having shown up fully for your life. With death at your side, you stop waiting for permission to live boldly. You stop holding back your love. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's idea of safety. Because what do you have to lose when everything is already passing? This freedom, born from remembering death, becomes the doorway to real life. Not life postponed until conditions improve, but life lived now, heart open, awake, and unafraid to vanish. Because you already made peace with the vanishing itself. Taking refuge in the three jewels. When you face your own mortality directly and stop running from the truth that everything you hold will one day dissolve, there is a silence that follows. It is the silence of understanding that there is nowhere left to hide and no illusion left to lean on. This silence can feel like freedom, but it can also feel like standing on the edge of a cliff with no railing, staring into a vastness too large for the heart to hold. It is in this silence, when the old comforts no longer work and the mind can no longer pretend to be in control, that the need for refuge becomes clear. The word refuge is often misunderstood. It is not escape. It is not a place to hide from reality. In Buddhist practice, refuge means a source of safety that does not depend on outer circumstances. It means something you can turn toward when life itself feels unbearable, not to numb out, but to be reminded of what does not break, even when everything else falls apart. This kind of refuge is not found in possessions or even in personal strength. It's found in the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Taking refuge in the Buddha does not mean worshipping a historical figure. It means remembering that awakening is possible, even in this life, even for you. It means turning toward the example of someone who walked through confusion, loss, and fear and still found clarity. This reminder is not meant to inspire blind faith. It is meant to reawaken your own capacity to wake up. Because the refuge is not only in the historical Buddha, but also in your own Buddha nature. The part of you that has always been awake, even beneath all the fear. This is why refuge in the Buddha is both external and internal. Externally, you remember, there was once a human being, born into a world filled with suffering, who learned to meet that suffering with such complete understanding that his fear dissolved at the root. That memory becomes a mirror, showing you what is possible. Internally, you remember that the same potential exists in you. Not as a belief, but as a living seed beneath every layer of confusion. This internal refuge becomes essential during collapse, because personal collapse is exactly the moment when the mind forgets what it is capable of. When grief, failure, illness, or loss tear apart your sense of identity, the small self panics. It tries to rebuild itself quickly, grabbing onto any role, story, or label that feels familiar. But refuge in the Buddha invites you to pause. Instead of rebuilding, to sit in the ruins, and remember that who you are is not your story, but your capacity to see clearly even when the story is shattered. This capacity is not personal achievement. It is part of the nature of being human. Even if you have forgotten it for decades, even if you have never tasted it directly before, the possibility of awakening has always been yours. Refuge in the Buddha is the faith in that possibility. The trust that no matter how far you have fallen, there is still a way to meet life with clarity and compassion. This trust is not blind optimism. It is the lived memory passed down through generations of those who also fell and also stood up again. Refuge in the Dharma is turning toward the teachings, not as abstract philosophy, but as practical guidance for this exact moment. The Dharma does not offer magical solutions. It offers a map for navigating collapse without losing your mind to despair. When the ground falls out from under you, the Dharma does not promise to rebuild it. It teaches you how to stand in midair, how to meet groundlessness itself with curiosity instead of fear. This teaching begins with understanding that collapse is not proof that you failed. It is proof that reality is working exactly as it always has. Everything that rises must fall. Every identity, every role, every sense of self you build will eventually dissolve, not because life is cruel, but because impermanence is the nature of all conditioned things. This is not punishment. It is the truth the Dharma has always pointed toward, the truth that nothing stable can be found in anything that can be lost. This truth is not meant to make you numb. It is meant to wake you up to the freedom hidden inside collapse. The freedom to finally see that your peace does not depend on rebuilding the old life, because your peace was never in the outer form. It was always in the clarity that can meet each moment directly, without clinging to what came before. The Dharma is the map back to this clarity. It does not erase pain, but it shows you how to suffer wisely, how to suffer in a way that leads to understanding instead of bitterness. The Dharma also protects you from the mind's tricks during collapse. The mind creates endless stories, stories of blame, shame, and hopelessness. The Dharma interrupts these stories with direct reminders, reminders that suffering is not personal, that craving for control feeds suffering, that presence dissolves fear. These reminders are not empty slogans. They are lifelines, ways to anchor yourself in reality when the mind tries to drown itself in fiction. Refuge in the Sangha means turning toward the community. Not as a social club, but as a circle of shared courage. In personal collapse, isolation is dangerous. The mind believes its suffering is unique, its failures unforgivable, its fears unspeakable. But when you sit in the presence of others who also know suffering, who also know fear, who also have faced the shattering of identity, isolation cracks open. You remember that collapse is not exile. It is a doorway into the shared human condition. This is why the Sangha is a jewel. It is a refuge in shared humanity, a place where you no longer have to pretend to be fine, because everyone understands the truth you are carrying. In this space, the burden lightens, not because others fix your pain, but because being seen in your rawness dissolves the illusion that you were ever alone. Sangha also keeps you honest. When collapse tempts you to numb out, to turn away from practice, to disappear into old habits, the presence of others who are still walking the path reminds you that you do not have to vanish. Their steadiness becomes your reminder that even now, there is still a path beneath your feet, even if you cannot see it yet. This is why refuge in the Sangha is a form of protection, not from pain, but from the mind's tendency to isolate itself in pain. When you are surrounded by others who also sit with grief, who also bow to impermanence, who also return to the Dharma when life falls apart, your own strength is remembered through theirs. This is not dependency. It is the strength of being part of something larger than yourself. Taken together, the three jewels become a complete safety net. Not a net that catches you so you never fall, but a net that catches you when you do. The Buddha reminds you that awakening is possible even now. The Dharma reminds you that there is a way to meet suffering wisely even now. The Sangha reminds you that you do not have to meet this alone. This is why taking refuge is not a ceremonial moment. It is a daily act. Every time you remember the Buddha's courage, every time you return to the teachings, every time you lean into the presence of others on the path, you're taking refuge again. And each time you take refuge, you remember that no matter how deep the collapse, the ground of awakening is still beneath your feet. This is the secret strength of Buddhist practice. It does not promise you will never break. It promises that even when you break, you can fall into refuge, instead of falling into despair. The refuge was always there. It was waiting beneath every illusion of control, beneath every belief that you had to do this alone. To take refuge is to finally allow yourself to be held by the very path that countless beings have walked before you, beings who also lost everything, who also doubted, who also despaired, and who also found that awakening can rise even from ruins. This is why refuge is called a jewel, not because it sparkles, but because it is precious beyond measure. The treasure that cannot be taken by time, by loss, or even by death. The refuge is already here. You only have to remember where to look. The illusion of self, anatta. Even after you have turned toward the Buddha's example, the Dharma's guidance, and the Sangha's support, there is one place where suffering still hides like a splinter lodged deep beneath the skin. It hides inside the story of who you think you are. The image you built piece by piece across your life. The fragile sense of self you have spent years protecting. No amount of external refuge can fully reach this place. Until you are willing to question the story itself. There is a quiet violence in the way identity holds on, especially during times of loss. When life breaks apart, the mind rushes to defend the image it holds of itself. It says, "I am the one who was always strong. I am the one who built this family. I am the one who never fails." When reality threatens those stories, the mind feels attacked, not just by life's events, but by the possibility that the story itself might not survive. This is why some of the deepest pain during hardship is not physical or even emotional. It is the fear that who you thought you are is dying. This fear is rarely spoken out loud because it feels so personal. But in Buddhist understanding, it is not personal at all. It is the natural consequence of mistaking a fragile story for your true self. When the outer world no longer reflects that story back to you, the mind panics. It thinks you are disappearing. But what is disappearing is only the illusion that you are ever a fixed identity. Buddhism names this illusion atta or selfhood, the belief that somewhere inside this body and mind, there is a solid person who exists independently, unchanged by time, separate from the flow of reality. This belief feels natural because it has been rehearsed every day since childhood. But it is the root misunderstanding that makes suffering feel so personal. When life threatens the identity you have built, the mind experiences it like a physical attack. Because it does not know who you are without the story. This is where anatta, the teaching of non-self, becomes medicine. Anatta does not mean you do not exist. It means that what you call me is not a single, solid thing. It is a constantly changing process, a river of thoughts, emotions, memories, habits, and conditions, all flowing together for a moment, then changing again. The suffering of identity collapse happens because the mind tries to freeze the river. To hold on to one shape, one role, one definition of self, and declare, this asterisk is me forever. But the river does not obey. Life keeps moving. And the moment reality contradicts the story you told about yourself, suffering explodes, not because life is cruel, but because clinging to a fixed identity in a changing world always creates tension. The tighter the grip, the sharper the pain when reality shifts. This is why letting go of identity is not loss. It is relief. It is stepping out of the prison cell you built for yourself and discovering that you were never meant to fit inside a single story. This letting go does not mean abandoning responsibility or ignoring your history. It means seeing clearly that no story can contain the fullness of what you are. Even the truest story is only a snapshot. And clinging to it blocks you from meeting reality as it is now. This is why identity loss, painful as it feels, is also an opportunity. It is a forced invitation to stop defending a fragile image and start discovering what you are beneath all images. This discovery is not philosophical. It is direct experience. Each time you sit in silence and watch thoughts arise and pass, you see it. Each thought claims to be you. This is my opinion, my fear, my desire, but none of them stay. They appear, perform for a moment, and dissolve. If you were any one of those thoughts, your existence would end when the thought ended. But something remains, the simple awareness that knows each thought comes and goes. This awareness has no story. It does not need one. It is the part of you that does not break when life breaks. This is why the teaching on non-self is not cold philosophy. It is radical kindness, kindness to yourself, because it releases you from defending what does not need defending. It lets you become fluid instead of brittle, so change no longer feels like personal failure. but part of the natural flow of being alive. This kindness extends to others, too. Because when you understand your own identity is not fixed, you stop demanding others stay the same. You stop punishing people for changing, because you understand change is what we all are. This fluidity becomes essential during personal collapse, because collapse dismantles identity by force. You lose the job, the role, the relationship, the health, the reputation. And each loss feels like losing a piece of yourself. But if you see through the illusion of fixed self, loss becomes something different. It becomes a stripping away of what was never truly you. This stripping hurts, but only because the mind believed the story was who you are. When identity is no longer clung to, loss still brings grief. But the grief does not become self-destruction. It is grief for what was shared, for what was meaningful, for what was real in its time. But it is not grief for your own existence, because existence was never tied to any single version of self. This is the freedom hidden inside non-self. It is not emptiness in the way the ego fears. It is fullness without boundaries, the understanding that you can be anything life calls for next, without needing to defend what came before. This also dissolves shame, because shame depends on believing in a fixed identity, the belief that you are permanently stained, permanently broken. When identity is seen as a flowing process, there is no permanent self to be ruined. There are actions that cause harm. There are consequences that must be faced. But none of them become the final definition of who you are. This frees you to meet your own mistakes with honesty instead of self-hatred, because you are not protecting an image. You are simply learning, moment by moment. This radical non-clinging also transforms how you respond to praise and blame. When praise arrives, the clinging mind wants to add it to the identity. Now I am the successful one, the wise one, the strong one. When blame arrives, the same mind wants to either defend itself or collapse in shame. But when identity is not clung to, praise and blame become weather, passing conditions that do not define the sky itself. You still feel them, but they no longer decide your worth. This freedom is not numbness. It is flexibility. It means you can meet life as it is without needing to constantly protect or rebuild an identity. This flexibility is strength, because it allows you to bend without breaking, to move without losing yourself, because there is no rigid self to lose. This is why, in Buddhist practice, softness is power, the softness of meeting reality directly without demanding it protect your story. This also dissolves the fear of being misunderstood. Because when identity is no longer a performance, other people's opinions lose their grip. Their praise no longer inflates you. Their judgment no longer crushes you. You become free to be seen as you are, without editing yourself to fit an image. This is not recklessness. It is honesty, the honesty of no longer living inside a costume. This honesty also allows for real growth. Because when identity is clung to, growth feels like threat. The mind wants to defend what it already knows. But when identity is fluid, growth becomes natural. Each experience reshapes you. And instead of resisting, you allow the reshaping. This is what it means to be alive fully, not clinging to who you were, not demanding certainty about who you will be, but showing up as you are now, with nothing to hide and nothing to prove. This showing up becomes a refuge itself. Because when you no longer need life to match a story, life itself becomes enough. There is nothing to defend and nothing to chase. You are already whole, not because you are perfect, but because you stopped believing you needed to be any particular version of yourself. This is the peace hidden inside non-self, not the peace of having no problems, but the peace of no longer making problems out of change. What you are is this moment's unfolding, not the story you built to explain yourself. When you let go of the story, you discover. Freedom was always here, hiding beneath the clinging mind, waiting to be remembered, waiting to breathe you back into life without fear. Walking through doubt, Visakhicca. When identity loses its grip and the need to defend a fixed version of yourself begins to fall away, there is a strange silence that often follows. Without the weight of constantly protecting who you thought you were, a new kind of spaciousness opens. But within that space, something unsettling can rise. Doubt appears. Not just about who you are, but about the path itself. When life shakes your foundations, even your faith in practice can feel unstable. What once felt clear can suddenly feel empty of meaning. And the methods you trusted may feel lifeless in your hands. This is not failure. This is part of the path itself. Every spiritual journey passes through these dry and uncertain places, where the clarity that once felt unshakable fades into fog. Even faith itself becomes something you question. Not because you did something wrong, but because doubt is woven into the fabric of awakening. To see this clearly is the first antidote to despair. Because when you understand that doubt is not personal, you no longer have to fight it like an enemy. You can meet it like a teacher. In Buddhist practice, doubt is called Visakhicca, and it is considered one of the 5 hindrances, mental states that cloud clarity and block direct seeing. But unlike the other hindrances, doubt carries a unique sting because it does not just question the moment, it questions the path itself. It whispers that practice might be pointless, that the teachers were wrong, that everything you trusted might have been a waste of time. This kind of doubt hurts more than ordinary confusion because it touches the core of what gave you strength. When faith falters, you are not just losing confidence in a method. You are losing the sense that your life has direction. This is why spiritual doubt feels so heavy during crisis. It is not simply that life becomes difficult. It is that the inner compass stops working. You cannot locate your own North Star. Even meditation, which once felt like home, can feel hollow. Even teachings that once opened your heart can sound like empty words. This dryness is not a sign of failure. It is a doorway to deeper faith. But only if you are willing to stay with it instead of running to quick replacements. This willingness begins by understanding that faith was never supposed to be blind belief. In Buddhist practice, faith is trust born from direct experience. It is not something you are told to have. It is something that grows each time you see for yourself that the teachings work, even if only for a moment. The purpose of practice was never to build a perfect faith that never doubts. The purpose was to create the conditions for doubt to reveal its own truth. That truth is this: doubt is not your enemy. It is your longing for something real. It arises not because you are weak, but because you refuse to settle for shallow answers. It is the voice of your own sincerity, demanding something deeper than borrowed belief. This sincerity is painful because it burns through every comforting illusion. It forces you to ask hard questions. Why am I practicing? What do I really trust? Is there something here I can lean on even when life collapses? These questions are not distractions from practice. They are the practice. They strip away spiritual pretense and force you to meet the path without decoration. They dismantle the tendency to practice for results, to meditate for peace, to follow teachings for comfort. What is left after every motive is exposed is the bare willingness to meet reality as it is, even if reality offers no immediate reward. This is where faith becomes something much deeper than belief. It becomes faith in reality itself. Faith not that life will improve, but that you can meet life directly even when it hurts, even when the path feels empty. This faith is faith in your own capacity to be present, not faith in specific outcomes. It is faith that awareness itself is enough, even if awareness reveals nothing but discomfort and silence. This shift from faith in what happens to faith in the capacity to meet what happens, is what makes doubt transformative. It breaks the mind's attachment to using practice as a tool to get somewhere. It ends the bargaining mindset that says, if I meditate enough, life will feel better. It replaces all of that with a simpler faith, the faith that presence itself can hold whatever arises, even loss, even dryness, even doubt itself. This does not mean doubt disappears. It means you stop being afraid of doubt. You stop needing to resolve every question before you continue walking. You learn to walk with doubt beside you, treating it not as proof of failure, but as proof that you care deeply enough to question everything. This shift is what turns doubt into curiosity, not the anxious craving for answers, but the gentle willingness to ask without demanding immediate certainty. This gentle questioning softens the mind's panic. It creates space for something quieter to emerge, the understanding that faith was never about answers. It was always about the courage to stay present inside the mystery. This kind of faith outlives every collapse because it no longer depends on certainty. It is the faith that knows there is value in showing up even when nothing makes sense. This shift also dissolves the craving for spiritual experiences. When faith is confused with excitement, with feeling inspired, with peak moments of bliss, it becomes fragile. The moment those feelings fade, doubt rushes in to declare the path dead. But mature faith understands that real practice is not exciting most of the time. It is ordinary. It is the faithfulness of showing up for your life, moment after moment, breath after breath, without needing fireworks. This kind of faith is humble. It does not need to prove anything. It does not need to argue with doubt or convert others to its view. It simply trusts the process of being awake, even when awakening feels like confusion, even when clarity disappears for months or years. It knows that presence itself is the point, not special states, not perfect understanding, just being fully alive to this breath. This humility also protects you from spiritual pride, because spiritual pride depends on comparing your experience to others. It feeds off the belief that real practice always feels profound. But mature faith knows that the most transformative moments often feel empty. It knows that doubt itself is part of the cleansing fire, burning away every layer of pretense until only what is real remains. This faith is quiet strength. Not the strength of feeling invincible, but the strength of being willing to not know. It is the strength to walk with uncertainty, to stay open when every part of the mind wants to close. This strength does not come from outside. It arises directly from meeting doubt without running away, from seeing that doubt does not need to be solved, only understood. This understanding also frees you from comparing your path to others. When doubt arises, it is tempting to assume others have something you lack: more faith, more clarity, more certainty. But real practice teaches that every sincere practitioner meets doubt. The only difference is whether they see doubt as a failure or as part of the journey. The ones who keep walking are not the ones who never doubted. They are the ones who learned how to doubt well. Doubting well means not hiding from questions, but also not demanding they be answered right away. It means keeping the heart open even when the mind is full of uncertainty. It means continuing to practice not because you know it will work, but because something in you remembers that presence itself is valuable even when no reward comes. This is why the Buddha never asked for blind belief. He asked for direct seeing. And direct seeing requires walking through doubt with eyes wide open, not rejecting it, not dramatizing it, just meeting it as one more aspect of reality. This direct meeting is what makes faith resilient. Because it is no longer a fragile belief. It becomes a trust born from seeing that even doubt itself can be held with compassion. When faith falters, what remains is the choice to stay present anyway. That choice is faith. Not faith in answers, not faith in outcomes, but faith in the power of awareness itself, even when awareness meets nothing but silence. This is how doubt becomes the gate to unshakable trust, the trust that awareness, even when it holds doubt, is already enough. Conclusion: the strength that was always there. After walking through every teaching, every piece of ancient wisdom, and every tool that Buddhism offers for difficult times, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Strength was never about avoiding suffering. It was always about how you meet it. This path does not promise to erase hardship, and it never offered shortcuts to happiness. Instead, it opens the door to something deeper, the ability to stand fully awake inside your own life, even when it trembles beneath your feet. From emptiness that dissolves attachments, to karma that teaches you to stop fighting the storm. From the courage of the Bodhisattva path, to the practical map of the Four Noble Truths. From meditative endurance that anchors the mind, to the wisdom of walking grief itself into the earth. These teachings are not decorations for peaceful times. They are survival skills for the heart, designed for moments like these. Moments when life breaks open and leaves you with nothing to hold on to but your own awareness. And even then, Buddhism reminds you, you are not alone. Refuge in the Three Jewels stands beneath every collapse. The Paramitas become tools you can grip when you forget your own strength. Non-clinging frees you from the weight of false identity. Death contemplation strips away fear. And when faith falters, it is the path itself that gently guides you back. Every practice, every teaching, every reminder points to the same truth: you are stronger than you think. Not because you can control life, but because you can meet it fully as it is. So now, it's your turn. What teaching spoke to your heart the most? Which lesson feels like the one you needed right now? Leave a comment below and share your voice. Because wisdom grows deeper when it's held together. And your story could be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if you want to keep walking this path together, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because this journey of inner strength is just getting started. And the next teaching might be the one that changes everything for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, no matter what storm you're walking through, you don't have to walk it alone. Welcome to Monk's Temple.